No, we gotta do it properly.
We gotta do it. We gotta do a shot proper. Is anybody
No, I
home
have a
yet?
glass for you.
Oh,
You're not a homeless person or something.
no,
We
but
have
it's
glasses to
Jaeger,
drink
no.
from.
Yeah, I'm not that homeless, but I'm close to homeless. Let's see. Videos. Here we go. And where's the volume? Because I get all crazy.
Uh,
Is the volume up?
um,
Oh, found it. Good to
okay.
go.
You killed the volume, right? So here's
Awesome.
yours. Grab your pickle.
Grab my pickle. This is the
Yeah,
Russian way.
try the small one because Americans don't normally like them.
Americans don't normally like Russian pickles.
I don't know why.
So we do the pickle first, or shot then pickle?
Shot and then pickle.
Roger, Roger. Thank you, sir.
За тебя.
What you said. What is it? What?
For you.
For me? Thank you, sir. Oh, that's smooth, though.
That's why you shouldn't mix it with any chemicals.
What's wrong with that pickle? That's freaking great. What we got? Oh, we got a couple folks in there. We got 13 folks in already. All right.
13 people sit there in the
Evening.
glass.
Right. Y'all are early, like I was figuring. This one's going to be kind of different. So don't yell at a guy if I'm not answering, comments and whatnot, because I got my phone over here and the feather's iPad over here, so I might be able to see him come up. I don't know. So we're going to do like a little Russian pickles. Yes, sir. That guy knows. Betty Swain,
With
Roxanne.
Pickled with horseradish.
Can you guys hear Dan? Give me a hell yeah if you can hear Dan. Not the dog, but when Dan was
I'm sure
talking.
they hear the dog as well.
Probably hear the dog too. Oh, I got 24. Yes. Fringe minority says, hell yes. So they got you. Cool.
Very good.
Talk about what are you talking about? Hey, it's Army stuff, farmer. Guy's on time. That and just first time on my own, so I had to get things set up, make sure it's gonna work proper. I didn't have the professional Andy the farmer sitting next to me with his YouTube. And he's busting my ass because we're early. That and we get to watch the sunset behind my shoulder, so that's cool.
It's gonna be a beautiful one.
Mm-hmm. So we got 29 people in, 5 thumbs up already, and it's not even 7 o'clock yet. So we're doing good.
Yes.
A lot of stuff I'm probably gonna ask you. I've already
No, go.
conversated with you about a while ago, but
A few years
all
to know
these
each other.
right,
We
I know.
talked a lot.
I know, especially about the goings on and
Well,
policies in this country.
funnily enough, ever since we met,
Carl.
the world's been changing like crazy.
Yeah, and not in a good way,
So
really.
we've had lots of topics to converse.
Yeah, I mean, at least the first time I come over here, we had something to kind of rejoice about,
Yeah.
Because how long were you here when I came to work on the house?
A year.
So you were here a year.
It's been 3 now.
Been three years now. So we're gonna back up a little bit. Basically, I'm just gonna ask Dan some questions about why and who, what, and where. So if I don't get to y'all's comments, be patient. Whatever, I'll try to catch you on a couple. But we're just gonna kind of do a little Q&A first, so that way you guys have an idea where Dan's from, and then we'll get to his take and what he knows about the Ukraine and what's really going on. So how's that? We got 34 folks in here. We still got literally 10 minutes before we're supposed to start. So that's not bad. 34 people already.
Enough time to get drunk. Not
Or
with that
catch-
stuff.
Now with it, yeah, he's already busted my. He's yelling at me for putting stuff in my
You
vodka.
brought decent vodka and then. spilled
Well,
it.
yeah, I brought decent vodka and then I ruined it. He says so. That's fine.
But
So
wasn't it smooth straight? Just tell me all.
this stuff is the bomb. Though. Spanish ham,
It's dried pig's leg.
dried pig's leg from Spain. That's
18
bomb.
18-month-old. Yeah.
Oh, 18 months. That's freaking good.
No, it's actually young. It's kind of on the cheaper side of things.
So the older it gets, the more expensive
oh
it gets.
yeah,
Oh no shit.
oh yeah.
Does it get tenderer?
No, actually, it's better dry. When you
Okay.
first unpack it, it's all covered in fat
Gotcha.
and it's kind of soft. But then I let it dry a little bit, and
Perfect.
It's getting its flavor.
I dig it. So we conversated a little bit before we got started, so I'm gonna be repeating stuff to him, but it'll be all right. So you're around my age, so you were born while it was still USSR,
79.
79. So yeah, I got you by you're the same age as my late brother. So gotcha. So you were there when it all changed over from USSR to
Oh, I remember those
Russia.
days.
Was that like how was that? Because what we seen over here, we were like kind of happy. Like I was still young when it was happening. But we're like, oh, cool. They're not gonna be communists anymore. Was it like a night and day thing, or how did that?
We haven't really been that communist at the time when it all collapsed, because after Stalin went away
Mm.
in like early 50s, and then it all started going down the hill. So
Oh,
nobody was
okay.
anymore arrested or shot. For,
Oh,
like,
okay. So there wasn't like the Gestapo type
no,
guys
no,
out
no.
there
It all
making
went
sure,
down and
making sure you're a good communist and all
Well,
that.
and Brad, well, you still needed it for career.
Oh, okay.
It
So
still
you,
help you a
you
lot.
still had your social credit score.
Even certain jobs were not available if you weren't, but like you had to be
Damn.
communist. And like my mother, she never was.
Really?
She never was a communist, but and still she was actually teaching in a college. She was a faculty dean in the college for like
Damn.
28 or 32 years, something like that.
They let that shit slide.
Yeah.
Her educating young
It
people.
was
and not
engineering, so they didn't really care.
Oh, yeah.
But
Because look what's going on in our colleges in this
but my
country
father
now.
had to be, because he was working for the Ministry of Defense.
Mm,
And he was a representative of that ministry at the plant where they've been manufacturing some bad things.
gotcha.
You call them Satan.
Satan. Like ICBM type Satan, maybe?
Intercontinental ballistic.
Yeah, ICBM.
thing.
Yeah, Roger. Gotcha. 10-4.
But so he had to be one, but he didn't really have to do about it.
Oh, okay.
Nothing about it really. He just.
So they said they can't hear you all that well.
Oh,
so.
I can move closer.
There we go.
Or be louder or whatever.
There we go. How's that? I didn't see the comment. Andy just texted me. He said, "Hey, move the phone closer. They can't hear you."
Okay.
So, but what about so when it like really went down though, who was even in charge? Was
Originally, Gorbachev started perestroika. It was still Soviet Union at that time. They started moving the country towards democracy. It was freedom of speech rather. They've been
Oh,
focusing
okay.
on like freedom of speech type of thing.
so you could bitch, but
And
not too much.
what they really made it was, oh, we have to criticize everything and try to change it, but nobody knew
What to do?
what would be a better way.
Right.
So really, it was kind of funny because all they did, they were talking on telly every day. You know, oh, we found this and we found this, and it's got to be better. It was kind of ridiculous. To
There
be
you go.
honest.
Still can't hear him. What is going on? Is this covering my microphone? Can you all hear me fine?
Actually, I'm sitting nearer to the phone than you. So
I know, right? I don't understand why I ain't being heard now.
That's maybe my accent or something.
Well, maybe we don't have YouTube Translate on. I thought I was going to be going to yeah. I'm early, Mike. Sorry. Let me see. Make sure we get a comms check first here. How about now? Can we hear now? Is this covering? I don't think this is covering the microphone or anything.
No, it's right
I
here.
hear you, Jim.
Microphone is
Okay.
right here, so it should be fine.
Andrea A. So Jim Flesher says he can hear me. Can you hear Dan? How about Dan? Of course, Dan's not saying anything.
I can say something.
There we go. something. There we go.
Yeah.
It's fine now. Roxanne says we're good. Okay, we're good. Moving on then. Mic check is complete. Moving on. So who is Gorbachev? That's
Yeah.
what I remember as a kid was Gorbachev.
Correct. He kicked it off.
So Gorbachev started all that
He,
stuff.
he was the first president of the Soviet Union, and the last, because it collapsed right after.
Yeah.
And then Yeltsin was the first president
remember.
of Russia.
I remember that guy, Boris, a little bit.
Yeah, he was mostly drunk, and
Mostly drunk. That's perfect.
people remember him dancing drunk.
Oh, well, he was just having a good time, Hey, we're free or
He made a lot
something.
of difference, I must admit. But then he lost control and oligarchs. That's when oligarchs
Oh,
came up.
Putin type
No,
fellers
no,
or
Putin
just
came a lot later. The first oligarchs been Yeltsin's family friends, like his daughter's friends.
all about who you know and
Yeah,
type deal.
they started what they've called privatization, because during Soviet time, every single business, every single everything, business-wise,
Right.
was state-owned.
still.
It was all Soviet time.
Oh,
So-
darn. So yeah. No,
so
no.
until Soviet Union collapsed, everything was.
So then
by
who?
the
Then
government.
so then like how did they disperse all that?
It was
stuff?
planned economy. So each company was under the certain industry. There was a ministry which was controlling that industry. They actually distributed resources equipment, whatever pertained to that. If it's a construction company,
Then they got
they
their
would have
stuff.
a plan
Gotcha.
what they got to build and how much, and they would get equipment and everything. So they've been all union and unions.
Union. Y'all got
Everything was union.
friggin' unions.
Union was running the show.
Gotcha. So then after the fall and all that stuff, how did they disperse all that? though?
They started privatization, and they said that each person in the country, obviously above the
Lane.
age of 18, you would get a voucher. They called it a voucher.
A voucher.
A voucher.
Voucher,
Yeah,
yep,
a piece of paper which says that you own this much rubles, Russian currency.
Right.
And the idea was that each individual would go.
How the hell they based that shit on?
It was
You know what I mean?
random. It was just
Like, what if you're just some homeless dude? Here you go. You got 200,000 rubles.
Each
or
of
whatever.
us got a piece of paper, including my parents.
No good.
And you were supposed to
Is
go.
there like an age cutoff or something?
18 years.
18 years old
Yeah,
and above got.
that's the age in Russia where you can drive, where you can make your own decisions, vote, and stuff.
Kind of like here, but even though our 18-year-olds are not.
Everyone got a piece of paper, and you were supposed to go and exchange that to the stock, like shares of those companies which were supposed to become private, instead of
Supposed to be private.
But people haven't. Nobody was really educated enough to even understand what is that all about.
Right. This is my army buddy who lives in Brazil. He's like, a class in socialism and why I hate it, he says. And he's living in Brazil of all places now. So, way to go, Carl. Got your socialism.
So what it ended to be, they started buying those papers like on the market, like a city
So
market.
them's and days that had
You
money.
come and you can sell it for a bottle of vodka or for a little bit of money. And because people didn't see any value in those papers, they didn't understand the nature of this process, so they happily sold all that crap.
They just let it go, and then not knowing that
And
they.
somebody smart, who was actually running those companies, being the director of that company during Soviet time, collected the papers and privatized the company. So that's how
So a
a lot of businesses got privatized.
and that's how a lot of guys probably got a shit ton of money.
Well, the guys who really got a lot of money, the oligarchs, what happened because of the connections with the government or with the family, they called it,
the
family.
The family.
It was Yeltsin's daughters and the friends and stuff. They go to a factory. Let's say and that's a true story here. One of the largest aluminum producers in the world. A guy who's a friend of the family, who was nobody before, no one.
Kansas. We got a fella from Kansas. Hey, Ben.
Topeka, Kansas. I've been
Topeka-
there in
Topeka.
1999.
1999, Topeka, Kansas. I've been in Topeka, Kansas too. They got really good barbecue.
I can't remember any of that, but so that fellow would come, an aluminum factory, and when I say factory, it's actually a town.
Aluminum town.
Everybody working for that plant.
There's
And
nothing else to do.
that plant would borrow him money, so he could buy the plant.
We ain't got to the yelling part. Andy's pissy because how come you only yell when you're sad? Because I'm asking him, I'm letting him, tell his story. I want to know too because there's a ton of shit that we haven't been able to talk about ever. So what time period is like? What are we talking like?
It was late 90s.
Late 90s, right? So you're like a teenager then?
Yeah.
Because I graduated in 94. I was 18, so you were probably 16,
I
17.
remember that time well. Yeah.
So then, fast forward a little bit. So you got, I'm not gonna say what you do or whatever, but you got a job where you get to travel.
Oh yeah, I traveled all.
So you've been all over Europe.
I've been all around Russia. I've been pretty much almost every country in Europe. Been
Dang.
to China several times.
I didn't know that. I've been to China. I guess
Beijing.
that's cool. Beijing. Well, is that really China?
It's the capital of China.
Well, there you go. So, and then you were over here in the States a bunch of times.
The first time I came here was 1998.
Oh wow. So
It
you were
was a
still
business trip.
wow. You were still pretty young though.
19, I think,
19. Damn.
if I remember well.
Got that
I
job
was
early.
working there.
Got that job early. I'm just surprised that.
I'm working still, officially since I was 16.
So, what was your first at 19 years old? Your first time coming to America? What was that like?
Oh, I remember that very clearly. It was August 98, Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh Jesus.
And I spent a month there, and everything was excellently organized. Accommodation, food, per diem. I had a ton of money in my pocket.
Oh, 19. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was working half day,
Damn.
and then they let us go. And the rest of the time
Was whatever you wanted to do. And
yeah, hanging around Boston Red Sox, Hard Rock Cafe.
cool.
That was the first surprise because when I came to Hard Rock Cafe, they still wouldn't sell me any drinks.
Right.
But when I asked for cigarettes, and I said, "What do you want?" I said, "Lucky Strike," because that's exactly what I was smoking.
Right.
And they gave me the pack of Luckies with no filters on them. I said, "Give me the ones with the filters." And the guy says, "Don't exist."
We don't have those here.
Sorry, that's what I'm smoking.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We try to ease the cancer in here.
It was kind of
We don't just give it to you right out the gate.
those
we
little
ease
things,
into it.
those little differences.
Little
I didn't mind it at all. But then we went for a movie, and that was hilarious. Because
What movie did you watch?
Armageddon.
Oh my God.
It just came out.
No shit.
So
That's hilarious.
yeah, we're sitting there. We bought popcorn. I never had popcorn before.
Never.
Russians, we didn't have it in Soviet time, and
Wow.
they only kicked it off.
Well, it's
And
cold as balls over there. I don't know if
it's
you
just,
y'all probably had better shit to do with corn.
yeah, they fed it to cows. I'm not sure really. I've only eaten corn a little bit. No, we used to eat it, but it wasn't sweet corn like
Right.
here. So anyway, we're sitting there with the popcorn, watching the movie, and again, my father was in the Ministry of Defense building missiles. My uncle was actually the guy. I don't know if you ever heard of Baikonur. It's actually like Canaveral here.
Oh, okay.
It's where they used to launch old Soviet rockets
This
from.
Sputnik thing.
Everything. The
Damn.
first man to space, everything was launched from Baikonur.
Oh, okay.
It's now in Kazakhstan. It's no longer Russia. It's Soviet time it was.
I'm sure they gotta enjoy that.
So anyway, my uncle was the one who designed it, one of the engineers who actually built it. So we're sitting there watching the movie, and you'll get why I'm saying all that. Watching the movie, and here they show this Russian space station. The guy wearing, like the farmer's clothes
yeah, I
with a
remember.
hammer hitting pipes.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
like
remember- I
gold they're milking or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I remember that dude now.
Two of us dying of laughter. We're the only ones laughing.
Because you're the only Russians enjoying, I guess.
And everybody's like, what are you laughing about? That's
damn-
true.
That's true.
So those little things.
All
we
broke
kinda-
down shit. Oh, great with a hammer. Ah.
We've been like wondering what's going on, what people know about us, what people think about us.
Right.
'Cause we didn't really know. I mean, it was the first time.
Well, back in the 90s, I don't think it was,
And
that big a deal
I'm
either.
not blaming anyone for thinking that about us, because the information is very well controlled. So they only
Right.
feed you what you want,
Right.
what they want.
And that's
you to
still
know.
going on all over
It was
all
always
over
the
the place.
case. It was always the case ever since the media got privately owned
Still.
by a very limited number of corporations, and that's the same thing in
Oh,
Russia.
the same thing we got here.
It's the same
How
thing.
many?
in-
How many was it? There's 3 guys that own all of our media in this country.
When each paper had its own private owner back in the days, they just used to tell you what's going
Right.
on.
Tell you what's going
Not
on. Now
anymore.
they spin it and put their
And the same
bullshit
thing
on
everywhere. I mean, I don't have any illusions about that. In Europe, in Russia, anywhere,
everywhere.
Asia,
It's crazy.
exactly the same thing everywhere. So this, thank you YouTube. Thank you the social media. Now you can at least.
Well, kind of. I mean, hopefully this doesn't, as long as we keep, we always, like when me and Farmer are on live, we always have to camouflage, like especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like shortly after the election, we couldn't even say, election fraud, or his channel would get automatically shit canned. We couldn't say anything about during the pandemic. We couldn't say anything about vaccines, or the channel would get. I was put in timeout twice on YouTube. So yeah, we do have social media, but the thems and theys that own said social media still like to
At least we
only
had
put.
something.
Yeah, well, at least we got something. I mean, you guys had nothing.
And it's funny we enjoy that because we actually deserve to have everything.
Really? What the hell?
Now we enjoy a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Now we just get a little bit. So then, fast forward to, because I remember when we first, met, whatever, you told me you won like a lottery to come here.
The only way to instantly immigrate to United States is what they call the Visa Diversity Program,
Okay.
which is commonly known as a green card lottery.
Oh, okay.
And the process is that people across the world, they select countries which participate this year. People across the world in those countries apply, and that's free. You can before
Right.
you can just mail it. Now you can do it online.
Technology.
Yeah, you apply, and in the end of the year, or no, like March,
me know.
you apply in October, something
Russian
like that. And,
pickles are bomb.
and like March next year, they announce the winners. So 1% of applicants win.
But it's on your own dime. Right.
At this point, it's free.
No, I'm talking about the move here.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, it's not just that. First you win the lottery, and they don't even let you know. You got to go check yourself. So, and if you want it, you'll go and check. That's
Right.
no problem. So you go and check, and they say you won. So then you have to have an appointment with the embassy for an interview.
The U.S. Embassy.
Correct.
Gotcha.
In the country of your residence.
Right.
And once you got that appointment, they also schedule your medicals. So you have to go through a complete medical checkup.
Shots. More shots.
$1,000 per person.
Holy shit.
Because it's only one hospital in the whole country. You can go, and they charge you enormous amount. Can you imagine a family of 5?
One hospital in the entire country of Russia
Yes.
to go get the shots that you, or
No,
medical
it's a
review,
checkup. They do everything. X-rays,
just to
blood,
come,
everything.
just to come to America.
They don't want you if you
They're not making it
illness,
easy.
like terminal illness or something, and
No,
they
no.
don't want you to come here and die.
Right.
So, and I understand the medical part. It was a little too expensive. I mean, I was well standing. I could have afforded it.
Right.
It was fine, but I just couldn't imagine people.
Oh, yeah,
family
a
of
larger
5,
family.
just come like $5,000.
I mean, you just had, D Junior with you and the wife. So, but there's still there's $3,000 just to take the very first
So
step.
then
So
you go embassy. Bring the paperwork about yourself. You have to bring criminal certificate that you haven't been a criminal.
oh, so you guys weren't so criminals from Russia are not allowed to come, but
No.
we can pour them all the way across the border all fucking day. That's fine, sure.
And again, not just Russia. This year, when Russia was participating, it was another 10 other countries participating.
Right.
So you go there, you bring a piece of paper from every place you lived for more than 6 months that you don't have any criminal records over there. You bring you bring your medicals, you bring all your paperwork, you bring your property information, bank account stuff, so to prove that you have something. They ask you questions. To be honest, I wasn't asked much. It was a quick interview, really. And the funny part was, when we've been waiting there in the embassy, there was an American fellow who lived in Russia for 20 years, trying to get visa for his wife.
Oh,
20
okay.
years ago, when he came to Russia, like in early perestroika days, as a translator. He was
Oh, okay.
translator, then he was teaching Russians English, he had a little company and all that. He married a Russian girl, they had 2 kids, married for 20 years, never been to the United States, because they lived in Russia, they lived in the Middle East, this and that.
Right.
And there was a crisis here or something, so he decided to return. His kids are American citizens, he's an American.
He never gave up his
No.
citizenship. So
He was
good.
American.
Yeah.
His wife was Russian, and they didn't want to give you papers.
Damn.
So they actually had to prove 20 years of marriage, two children.
A lot of rules and money to get here legally, but coming in illegally, you get free shit.
Well, it's just the beginning money.
Oh, this is just the beginning. He's told me some of the other stuff. We're just cracking the egg on how much money it costs to come over here.
And the guy, actually, they put that guy in one room and his wife in another room. They had to bring all the pictures and stuff from family vacations and things to
Holy
prove they
shit.
actually married. 20
And
years.
this is
2
in
kids.
Russia, not
No, it was
USSR.
no, it was Moscow embassy.
Right, but
United
this is
States.
allegedly.
It was 5 years ago.
Holy shit.
No, six
Damn.
or 7, something like that. And the guy, then they put them in separate rooms, and they've been asking like, "What's his favorite movie?"
Interrogation.
And they would
time.
then they would
Compare.
the answers. And,
I don't even know if me and my wife would pass that right now.
but again,
I don't think she knows. I don't even have a favorite.
He's
movie.
American. His children are American,
Right.
and they didn't want to give his wife visa to come here.
That's just
How's that working?
right.
And
That's
he was
crazy.
He was talking to me and says, "Yeah, right. You guys are here. You're going through the process, and I won the lottery, but my family automatically gets it."
Oh, so you met him at the facility?
Yeah, we actually been sitting
Oh,
in the
okay.
embassy.
Oh no.
And then
Okay.
he
Now
went
I'm
for that
tracking.
interview.
Now I'm tracking with you. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So he's looking at you going, "You don't have. If I'm getting fucked over, you don't have a shot in hell, bud.
Sort
Good luck
of.
with your problem."
So and then you get your visa, and within 6 months you got to come in, and then you get your green card.
Gotcha.
And again, green card is lawful permanent residence, which means you can live here all your life. It's lifetime. You don't need to be a citizen. You have all the rights except to vote.
Except the vote.
Well, they don't even let me vote for school board.
What?
I'm not allowed to
Jesus.
vote for school board.
But Dan Jr. goes to the
Yeah.
said school,
Well, I paid school tax.
and he pays school taxes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, in certain states I can buy a handgun, not in New York State.
I can't even buy a handgun in New York State anymore.
But-
Well, I
well,
can,
I'm
but
just
it's
saying that
just getting so
Pretty much
ridiculous
the only
now.
restriction across the board here is voting.
Is voting. Gotcha.
I know people who have green card for 30 years here, never
Never-
became citizens,
never
not
bothered.
interested. Because to become a citizen, you gotta have green card for 5 years, and you gotta live here for at least 30 months.
So you've
within this
checked
5
both of
years.
those boxes, right?
I did. And but then you have to fill a questionnaire. It took me 2 weeks to fill. It's apart from all kind of information about my travels outside the country within this 5 years, every single trip, even if it's one day to Canada, Niagara Falls.
Right.
You got to put it
What are
in.
you doing there?
They've been asking if I was ever.
Got a friend naturalized from Cuba while working with us in Michigan. To listen to him tell stories of Cuba and his Olympic swimmer and photographer. He is coming to Michigan to hunt this fall. Oh yeah, man, it's freaking like the legit people. I'm down with those because he has just a love for the folks coming across the border illegally. We've had these conversations many a times.
And it's not that nothing personal there, but it took
Well,
me.
just yeah,
It took me all my life savings to move here.
right,
Because before I came here, I had to buy a house because nobody would lend me money, so everything had to be cash.
right.
So house,
And like you told me
a
before, it's not
car.
like you have instant credit.
No, it
You
took
had to
me
buy
a year.
everything.
It
You
took
know,
me a year to build
vehicles,
up
the,
a credit. Yeah.
right? The house, and then you had to do the renovations
Yeah,
so you could
house,
move into the house.
Renovation.
And then you had
vehicles.
bought two vehicles, I think it was.
Yeah.
You had those two.
Yeah.
So I mean,
All that.
we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Lawnmowers, everything.
Right.
You
You just come here with nothing other than the clothes and your
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
stuff.
No, we
And
bought
then-
1,300 books.
Right.
But no, I mean, and again, it was our choice. I'm not complaining. I mean, if I
Right.
didn't want it, I wouldn't do it.
Well, that was the other. I mean, I've asked this before, but why? Because you said you've been all over Europe, and of course, Europe has alleged democracy and all that. Why?
Europe is different as well.
Why America? And then I've asked you this before too. I'm gonna ask you again. Why New York of all states, especially now?
New York is an easy answer because my wife checked pretty much every state, and if you want to ask her about life in different states, real estate, education, should know. Probably
She's
better
got all
than most of Americans.
She's got all the details.
Because she researched that very deeply, and then we were coming here and drive around for weeks, checking the houses out, checking places out.
Gotcha.
So
I mean,
it wasn't just random.
I mean,
decisions.
I give you guys a tour, but we're trying to keep things incognito. But he's out in the sticks. I approve. I can't see.
Nobody.
Like fall time, you might barely be able to catch the neighbor's house, but that way, I can just barely see the neighbor's house. But there's probably Christ that field's got to be
No, nobody there.
a few hundred acres behind us. Of
Yeah.
they got corn this year. Corn this year.
Corn, bunch
So
of deer.
yeah, and deer. So this is a perfect spot. I approve of this spot. It's kind of like my spot. I don't like neighbors. I don't like people up my ass. I want to be left the fuck alone most of the time.
But New York is actually excellent for schools.
I'll give them
The
that.
the school rating here is very good. It's close to all the main communication and traveling, everything. So New York is nearby, all international
Yep.
airports. If we ever want to, visit
Yeah,
the family,
everyone
or
go
family
back
comes
and yep,
here.
I got you.
And this kind of things, convenience, climate, 4 seasons, excellent education.
Well, the winters here got to be like a spring day for you guys in
Oh,
Russia.
it's very mild, yeah.
I mean, how long is winter last in Russia?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
I'm kidding. I mean, Russia is different. I mean, it's pretty spacious. So
Right.
the south of Russia, you have palm trees and resorts and all that.
Damn, I never heard about
North
that.
of Russia, I mean, it's minus 52 Celsius
Yeah.
average, and if you speed, it freezes before it touches the ground. So
Damn.
don't you dare pee in.
Yeah, that'd be painful. Yes,
Yeah,
you're layered up a lot for that area.
People there, when they buy a car, they would actually glue the second windshield on it, so it doesn't freeze through, so you don't have ice inside your car.
Holy shit.
But I mean, again, it's different places.
Right,
And it's
right.
fine. I was working there, and it's nice. You just dress up properly,
Right.
and you're good.
Just another thing you just kind of acclimate yourself
And
to.
I prefer that because I know how to get warm. I don't know how to cool down in Florida.
I'm the same way. Like I just sweat I just pour friggin' sweat. I hate it. You can always put more clothes on. You can only get so naked.
I worked in construction, so we went through the survival training for winter conditions.
God,
for all
oh yeah,
kinds of things.
yeah.
So I'm
I
okay
did
with that.
same
I mean,
same shit in the army.
I don't mind that. So. But anyway, so New York was a choice. 4 seasons, excellent education, a lot of wilderness, however close to everything.
Well, you picked upstate New York, which is as red as the hat that you get on. But unfortunately, I don't know if your wife did the research on how
Not
politics are run in this state and how it's usually
Well,
derived straight from that
I'm still
freaking
a
city.
true believer that politics here is one simple thing: liberty and justice for all. I don't
Supposed to be.
No, I mean, temporarily, we are probably at a different phase
Yeah.
of some sort.
Are we as bad as what you've experienced in other places yet?
Well, other places, Europe, I didn't experience nothing.
Right.
The politics there, you don't even know it exists. People there just live.
Right.
I mean, you walk around, and the youngest building around will be like 350 years old. And
Yeah.
when I bought a house in Germany, and it's a 200-year-old house, they gave me drawings with it, which were
200-year-old drawings.
yes,
Damn.
with
That's
geese
freaking-
feathers. They've been
What geese?
they've been drawn with geese feathers.
Oh my
in.
God, that's freaking cool.
But it's not even that. Just remember, those drawings been drawn in early 1800s.
Mhm.
They survived the Kaiser Wilhelm time. They survived the First World War.
And
They
the
survived Hitler time, and then Soviet occupation. It was Eastern
Right.
Germany,
Right.
and then the freedom. They survived.
When they dropped the wall, that's crazy.
Germans are very organized.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Papers matter.
have you ever
So-
had a BMW? I mean, they make some decent cars. But I get that. I'm just
It's,
getting.
it's
You know,
actually hilarious because
I mean, they're organized. Like they're super.
if you like BMW here, you'd like to see it on the streets of Germany. That car belongs in Germany. It was designed for Germans in Germany. It looks like no other on the German street. But
On purpose.
when you take it out, like to Russia or something, it looks completely different. You'll be amazed. I mean, it's funny, but
That's
there's
crazy.
little differences. You know?
Right. Right.
So Europe, you don't know anything about politics. You just live. You know, they're very organized. It's all very quiet.
So we got like I'm showing we got like 98 folks in there watching.
No, for
this is-
Saturday night, I mean,
Right. That's not too bad.
yeah.
This is that's not even showing. I don't know what I must have
It's-
did
it's
something
the delay.
late on that. So we did tick over 100, but maybe we got a couple people. Oh, there's 99. So it's go up and down. The VW Bug was designed for us by the Germans. Yeah, yeah. That was the people's car, the people mover,
Volkswagen. It's
the
called.
Volkswagen.
Yeah, Volk is people.
Yeah.
Wagen is wagon. So pretty simple.
So moved over here. Was you been here
But again, I mean,
3 years now? Yeah, 3 years now.
just so you understand, it's pretty simple. I've seen United States multiple times before
Right.
we came here. My family have never been here before we actually immigrated.
Right.
So they had to trust myself, and we have a few friends who immigrated here previously. They've been sharing with us openly.
What to expect and
And you cannot find more American people than those two Russians.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, they came here. They are true believers in the core American values as well as I am.
Oh, I
And-
mean, the
and he
first,
came here-
yeah, the first conversation we had, I'm like, this guy's on point. I was like, I gotta have more conversations with this guy.
And again, this was the key reason because America was built on a very strong foundation. Yeah, your roof might be leaking at this point,
Yeah.
or our roof. I mean, I should say,
Yeah.
might be leaking. You know, my insulation. We need some more insulation to keep
Yeah.
the cold away.
Yeah.
But winter's coming, as they said. But
Winter's coming,
but it doesn't mean the foundation is gone.
Right.
It's still there.
still there.
The only problem is people don't really pay attention to that anymore that much, especially it's a
Younger.
generational
Yeah.
thing. They try to wipe it out and erase it.
They do a
As
lot of
much as
that
they could.
through schools. I've seen a little bit of indoctrination. if you
That's
ask
one of the
me.
reasons I think we're blessed with our school. They still do the flag every day.
Yeah, which I'm surprised because there's a lot of
Well,
small
I
town
appreciate that.
schools that don't do that.
It's so
And
easy to be trained. It's so easy to drift away from your nature and to drift away from your original values
Yeah.
simply for following.
Well,
you
you'd
know,
be
the
amazed.
trends.
Like you probably know because during the immigration and stuff like that. I wouldn't doubt that you probably know more about this country than I do, and I've lived here my entire life.
I'll have to pass the test when I go. 128 questions.
100, yeah. So, like I said, you'll know more than me probably.
Not really.
And I've gained more knowledge in probably the last 6 years because I never paid attention to any of our elections. I was that same kid, 18, 19, 20,
But that's
and
everywhere. It's not just here.
Yeah.
Every country is the same thing. When you come as a tourist to one spot, you know more than locals about the town.
right, because you're
It's-
interested in the place.
It's human nature, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Americans, only 3% of Americans have passports. It means only 3% of Americans ever travel overseas.
Right.
From this 3%, you have to take out those who only go Canada and Mexico, maybe South America a little bit,
So now we're like
or
at
like
1%.
Caribbean cruise or something.
1% now.
You
Maybe.
have to deduct those who travel for work, because they're special kind of people.
Now we're probably down to 0.5.
We're actually down to very little.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are not really that great representation of America.
yeah, yeah,
I've seen them, like, they come to Europe, you come to France,
You
to
got the
Paris,
little.
and then you keep bugging French people like about where's McDonald's. Like, you don't want to try
You just
anything new.
traveled to.
You don't want to know anything about the place. All you want to know
Right.
where you can get a
So
burger.
you're gonna do the same shit you did. You just spent thousands of dollars to travel, and now you want
then
the same shit.
That American lady who rented a car in Paris, it wasn't papers actually. All European papers had that. She rented a car, drove for 150 kilometers or something, and the engine blew up. And she was complaining, rental company, the one whole 9 yards, went ballistic. And then they figured out that she drove 150 kilometers on a highway on the first gear. It was manual.
She didn't know how to run a fucking stick.
And she said, nobody told me. I thought it's automatic.
You're in Europe, dummy. They're all friggin' sticks.
Pretty much so. But I
Oh
mean,
my God.
and then like, oh, look at this Americans,
Yeah.
That's why I keep telling you.
So yeah, our representation
I
is
keep telling
really
you,
the
I keep
greatest.
telling a few other people here locally, you got to travel, show yourself.
Right.
People see this lady or a bunch of weirdos who keep looking for McDonald's all around the place. And then they see this NATO general who says, let's kick ass and kill them all and, show them like in like General Schwarzkopf style,
Yeah.
kick ass in every other phrase.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, look at this Americans. All they're doing, they're sharpening the knives and getting ready to invade everybody.
And then you see
And then you come here and you see the friendliest people in the world.
Yeah.
You see the hard-working people, responsible gun owners and taxpayers who really care about their country. And I'm talking about here locally where I live.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty much 4 out of 5 people I've met.
I mean, as of late, I don't know how many Build Back Better flags you've seen driving around. I've seen none.
I don't even know it. I didn't know it exists. The flag like that. But
I don't think it does either. I do see a lot of fuck Joe Biden and or let's go Brandon.
no, I've seen one Biden. I've noticed 2 Biden supporters.
I did see.
Two.
Yeah, I have seen but not as of late. During the election, I seen a bunch,
Yeah.
and then shortly after the
When you say
election, they
bunch,
kept them up.
Why do you call
But
it
then
freedom?
once they finally found out what everything was about, they're like, "Oopsie, I'm just gonna put this
And
away
again,
now."
I don't mind. People have to have opinions. That's
Right.
They have to have freedom of
But there's
speech.
more than one.
But if there is freedom or equality, what I disagree with that some people are more equal than others.
Oh yeah. Well, remember during the pandemic, and they're like, "Oh, we're all in the same boat." No, honey, you're in a fucking yacht. I'm in a rowboat over here.
And if
It
you
ain't the
say-
fucking same boat.
If you talk things like "my body is my choice," you gotta take a full responsibility.
All
of
the way,
saying that,
not half-assed.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get this
And
because
again, people have to have choice and freedom and all that.
I mean, you came from a place that you probably didn't have a lot of choices back in the day.
Soviet time, it was very limited. Russia time, it was actually too much. Well, one thing,
Maybe they didn't know
this
what.
modern,
Here, do it all.
Modern Russia, when it all kicked off, it was no democracy, but it was a lot of freedom.
81. We're gonna get to that, Mike.
So,
They're all chomping at the bit about the Ukraine. We're almost there. Hang with us
well,
now.
that's a big topic.
Yeah.
That's a very big and sensitive, and not just Ukraine. Before we start the actual conversation, just a check. Do
Right.
you know that
Yeah.
Do you know when the war in Ukraine actually started? Which year?
What year? That was this year.
2014.
2014.
And we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about it here.
Well, that's why I have a
Here.
confused look on my face.
Do you
And that's
know
why
that-
we're all
Do
sitting
you
here.
know, at the same time when this situation in Ukraine develops, you know that Azerbaijan attacked Armenia, and these are 2 post-Soviet Union countries as well,
Okay.
2 Soviet republics. So they've actually attacked Armenia recently. Nobody knows about it. It's not in the media,
Perfect.
unless you have Armenian friends.
That are telling you, hey, here's some
And I
shit
do.
going on.
She lives in Switzerland, and she's going ballistic.
Because she's probably still got
And
family and
they
stuff.
always
with her.
had territorial issues and stuff, but now because there's so much noise.
So they're still monkeying around with territories they had when they were the USSR.
Tajikistan actually attacked Kyrgyzstan, also 2 ex-Soviet Union republics. It happened last week. Nobody knows about it.
No. Well, again, there's only 3 people that run all of our media in this country, and we only get to see what they want us to fucking see, or what we can catch on someone's social media.
So
You know, and I don't know any YouTuber in Ukraine to follow and see what's going on and what's really
and
happening.
again, when Yugoslavian conflict happened, you probably remember that quite clearly.
Yeah.
When Yugoslavia was split into
I mean, growing up as a kid, it's just, you know, watch the nightly news. There was always some crazy shit going on.
and that was actually, I think USA is taking pride on that war. At least that's what I heard. So Ukrainian situation has to be,
So right now they're on 3 fronts or 2 fronts.
Who?
Russia.
no, Russia is only in Ukraine.
Only in Ukraine now.
Armenia asked for help because Russia was traditionally helping. Armenia is a small country.
Right.
Armenia is actually the oldest country on the globe out of those countries which actually exist at this point. We're not talking like Mesopotamia and stuff.
Right.
Armenia is older than Egypt.
Damn. Did not know. See, I'm getting a class already.
So it's actually the oldest country in the world. It's a small country. It's a Christian country. Azerbaijan is Muslim country. They always had tension.
Oh, shocker. Always with religion.
They have a territorial issue about a particular area. And during Soviet Union, it wasn't a problem.
We're getting there, farmer. What about Putin? We're getting there.
What I mean is that
Be patient.
What I mean is situation in Ukraine has to be considered with the historic context and the political context in the post-Soviet Union territories. It's not just a one-off kind situation.
Right.
There is more going on.
So they're always monkeying around with stuff that
A
they
lot
used to
more.
have.
And don't forget,
Because Ukraine was part of
Soviet Union.
Soviet
Well,
Union.
Ukraine was actually created in 1924 as a state of Ukraine. No, sorry, it was 1921 or something, or 18, after the revolution.
Oh, okay.
Because before it was
The
a part of
Tsars
Russian
and all.
Empire. It wasn't a separate country. Poland was Russian Empire, Ukraine was Russian Empire, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, all 3 Baltic countries.
Y'all had a ton of shit over there.
They all been Russian Empire.
Damn.
And this country was as the independent state of Ukraine. It was created at that time. And again, they have the language.
So they've been
they
their
have
own
the-
deal for like over 100 years.
In terms of independence, they got independent from Soviet Union recently, obviously when Soviet Union collapsed. Before the revolution in 1917, they've been a part of the empire, not a
Right.
separate state. And they always had historically parts of Ukraine which were more leaning towards the west, like
I
towards
heard-
Poland. There
Oh, okay.
were parts of Ukraine which are historically populated with Hungarian-speaking people.
Well, all right.
There are parts of Ukraine, eastern parts, which are historically Russian-speaking, and that's where the war started in 2014.
Oh, and
one-
14.
2014.
2014. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Almost 10 years.
Yep.
So why are we hearing about it now?
I don't know. We know about it.
Right. I mean, y'all knew about it, but like, what is the, I mean, I know what, you know, Papa Joe did when he was a vice president. I seen all those videos, you know, rinsing his money over there and threatening the DA and all that good stuff, and his son with the money and all that.
Well-
So I'm assuming that the Ukrainian government's a little on the crooked side.
First of all, you need to remember that just a simple question, and we might ask it to the audience.
Yeah.
How would you call a situation when there is a legitimate government in the country and there is a group of people which pretty much make a revolution? So they throw a president out of the country, or he escapes because they want to put him in jail.
Right.
They take over the power in the country, put their own people in charge, and it's not elections, it's not nothing. It's pretty much an
that's a
armed
coup.
revolution.
Right.
How do you call that?
That
Is
would
it-
be that's a coup.
Is it a legit process?
No.
Is it a democratic process?
Hell no.
This is what happened in Ukraine in 2014.
Oh, that's when the movie star guy became
Yeah.
the president.
No,
or-
he became a president after. There
Oh.
was another guy,
Oh, okay.
a chocolate oligarch. But, and again,
So that was Russia's doing,
no, the
or
previous,
that was
the
these
reason it
folks
happened
within
because
within
the
Ukraine did this.
president who was there in charge and who escaped
Mm.
because they wanted to put him in jail, he was called pro-Russian, or he was considered pro-Russian
Oh,
because he was supportive of building up relations with Russia rather than the West.
but they're right there. I mean, you might better shake hands with a feller than be, you know,
And the new political force which came after that,
the movie guy.
they've been more. No, the movie guy came second. It
Okay.
was the one guy
We got one
beforehand.
more after, and then we get the movie guy.
It
What
was
still
not-
blows my mind about that dude.
So the new party which came, political force which came, and as a result of that revolution, they were more towards the West. So they started pushing an idea of joining NATO.
Yeah.
And America
Yeah.
clearly promised.
Oh yeah, we did. Well, our government did, which
And
they just dangled that
it was a
carrot out
clear
there.
deal. It was a clear deal that NATO is not going to continue expanding to the east. And then these new forces who took over the power in Ukraine, and again, it's Ukrainian business. I'm not
Right.
judging them.
Right.
They made the revolution. The world accepted it.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think it's a democratic
I mean,
way
they didn't have any oil, so we didn't have to go over there and give them any freedom. I mean,
Well,
if you've looked
you'll be
around,
surprised, but 75%, or actually 85% of agricultural lands of Ukraine are owned by American investment fund called Blackstone.
really.
That fund is in charge of $10 trillion funds across the world.
Oh,
They bought most of the agricultural land.
now
in
things
Ukraine.
are starting to come together.
Just Google that.
Yeah, I know. That's just a Google search that way, I guess. What the hell was I thinking?
There are two investment funds. One is Blackstone, another one is, I forgot the name.
I've heard of Blackstone.
Stone something or Black something.
BlackRock.
They have similar names.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a I'm not into politics that much. I'm not spending all my time researching.
I
that.
really try not to
know
because it just
something.
makes me furious.
I know something. I know little, but I'm confident in what I know that I've checked it out and made sure.
Right.
So again, they don't have oil that much, but they have other resources. Ukraine is full of resources.
Oh yeah.
A lot of things in there, and it's a rich country. It's a big
Don't
country.
Google it. Let's get out Hunter's laptop. Yeah, no shit. Okay, we get all the information we wanted off a Hunter's laptop.
So, and they started leaning towards the West, started pushing the NATO business, or NATO business, you say that. So, and that obviously didn't make anybody happy.
No, especially Mr. Putin.
As soon as this happened,
Which in a way, I can't blame him either. Why would you want, he's never, obviously, Russia's not a part of NATO.
no.
Doesn't get along with any of their
The
horseshit.
NATO, the whole purpose of
I
NATO
don't even like
existing
NATO.
is to be against Russia.
Right.
That was
So-
the whole sole purpose of
So now,
NATO
here's this
existing.
little pissant country. It's like, at the bottom here, gonna put, gonna get in bed with NATO right on my back door.
Don't forget, first of all, Ukraine is one of the biggest countries in Europe, except for Russia, of course, if you consider Russia Europe.
Right.
Ukraine has the second size army in Europe after Russia.
So they're,
Ukraine has bigger army than Germany, France, Belgium, Holland altogether.
so that's why they've been hanging on as well
If
as
you
they have.
Google for last year, just go internet and see how many soldiers and tanks European armies have. You'll see that Germany has like 100 tanks or something.
What?
Yeah,
Jesus, they've downsized.
it's not 1941.
Well, good call. Good call.
So Germany has like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's one of the biggest armies in Europe. Ukraine has.
I didn't
an army
realize that
which is bigger than
Ukraine was
most
that.
of the
I didn't
NATO.
know Ukraine was that big.
First of all, it's big size. Second, it's big population. Third, so when Soviet Union collapsed, don't forget, Belarus, which is a country a little bit north of Ukraine, which was again a part of Soviet Union.
Right.
Belarus and Ukraine been considered the vast military district, which was supposed to take the first hit in case of war with the West. Don't forget that.
Right.
So they've been heavily armed
For a long time.
all the time during Soviet Union existence.
Right.
And when the Soviet Union collapsed, they kept all that.
Right. Why get rid of it? They were actually smart.
All the troops stayed. All the weapons stayed. So Belarus and Ukraine is bigger than Belarus and heavier armed.
Damn.
They were heavily armed and trained because they were the first ones to be hit if the war
Right.
started with NATO. So it's
And
not-
now they're dicking around
Yeah.
talking about joining
so,
NATO.
So Ukraine is not a little bitty, tiny place with nobody there.
Now it makes sense because I didn't have any idea how big Ukraine was.
Hmm?
But now it's starting to make more sense on why they're being able to push back the Russian bear a little bit more.
Ukraine is big, obviously nowhere near as big as Russia, of course,
Right.
but it doesn't matter. In European scale, Ukraine is one of the biggest in Europe. I think it's
So if anybody was going to put up a good fight, it would be Ukraine.
yeah, and they had weapons. They had
Right.
lots of weapons from Soviet time, plus the new ones they obtained. But all the Soviet weapons were still there, and they still fly.
And plus
These
they
things
have-
they still
well,
fly.
they
They
have-
still explode.
They have 30% of the 80, 70, how many billions of dollars have we given them already? 70,
Quite a few.
73 billion? And they
I'm not
they
sure
lost,
any of that was spent for ammo, but
well, they lost 70% of it, allegedly. They can't find it. It's gone somewhere, but they don't know where.
evaporated.
it evaporated in the internet on the way over or something.
Yeah, it's like petrol.
Sure.
You open
So-
the can and it just goes.
I can understand why the Russian invasion's happening, but because Putin doesn't want the NATO thing. I get that part, but that can't be all of it.
That's this year's business.
That's it. Oh, this year's business, not 2014.
Well,
That we had no idea that was
in
going on.
2014,
Actually, wait a minute. I remember.
Crimea. Does it
Yes.
ring the bell?
Yes. Because I was deployed and I was sitting in the chow hall and we're watching. They're like, oh, Putin invades Crimea, blah, 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 blah.
And again,
And then half the Crimeans
So-
wanted to be with Russia and the other half
Crimea-
didn't. And
was conquered by Russia hundreds of years ago from Turks or somebody.
Right.
But whomever was kind of on that side of the Black Sea
yeah,
at the time. And Ukraine was always a part of Russia until in 1960 something. Khrushchev. Does that ring the bell?
I heard that.
He was the
fella.
guy in charge of Soviet Union after Stalin.
Yeah,
He took over after Stalin.
gotcha.
Khrushchev gave it to Ukraine. It used to be a part of Russia. It became part of Ukraine. They kind of been rounding up the borders or something.
Right.
But
We're just going to
it
square,
made
you know,
sense from
square
some-
this away.
from some sort of perspective, agricultural, I don't know, whatever. And in Soviet Union, it didn't really matter. It was still the same country.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got a shit ton of landmass. I mean,
it's,
Christ.
it's fairly spacious.
Yeah. That's fairly spacious. yeah, I'd say. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's got like 12 time zones, I think. But
that's
yeah.
fine.
But
Who's
anyway.
counting?
Yeah.
Who's counting?
So Crimea historically was populated by Russian-speaking population and Crimean like natives. They called Crimean Tatars, who've been historically there.
Right.
So they became part of it, and they have family in Crimea, just so you know.
Damn.
Like my mom's sister's there, and I have
Oh, okay.
family. I've
All
been
right.
there myself a million times. So my parents still go there for vacation.
So what
Okay.
was your thoughts when
So-
2014 rolls around and
Then-
Russia's coming in?
Well, what happened was, and again, that's the Russian side of the story.
Right.
When this revolution happened in Ukraine, so a new forces took power, a legit president escaped the country.
Right.
The Russian-speaking population in Crimea actually conducted a referendum, a vote, to join Russia.
I remember that.
So there was a vote, people voted to join Russia, and Russia said, fine.
Come on over.
A few helicopters came in and took over in a minute.
Right.
There wasn't a single
Just
gunfire.
pick up the phone. Yeah.
There wasn't a single. If you go YouTube and just YouTube Russia taking over Crimea, you'll see the videos. Literally, all those helicopters just came from the side of the sea, and there wasn't a single shot fired. All the Ukrainian military there was offered
Just
you
bomb.
either can switch to Russia or you go
Leave.
peacefully leave.
Damn.
Your ammo, guns will stay here. You go. Nobody's taking it. And whomever wanted returned to Ukraine and was loyal to the pledge, or how you say
Or-
that, military
right.
people.
Loyal to the flag.
Yeah. Whomever wanted to stay, stayed.
And now you're
And turned
part of-
into Russian military.
Damn.
And it happened overnight. And nobody liked it. That's
Yeah.
that's when the sanctions started.
Oh no, the
You remember?
Russia's opening their borders. They're taking
And
over.
again, was it compliant? Russian point of view, it is compliant because there was a vote. People
Right.
voted. And it happened after the revolution when the legit president pretty much was thrown out of the country
Right.
or escaped because they wanted to prosecute him for something.
What did he do?
So the Crimea said, we don't like that.
Right.
The legit government's gone.
Come on in.
There's somebody else sitting there.
Right. Come on in and run this place.
So
for
we
us.
just vote to join another country because the majority of population is Russian speaking.
Kind of makes sense.
And again, the rest of the world did not acknowledge that, I think, except for Cuba
Oh, can I just
and Belarus. But
I mean, the news that I was watching when I was deployed at the time, I think I was just in Fort Hood. Might have been to Kuwait already, and the translation that we were getting, it was all bad.
Russia
This
took
is
it
bad,
over,
bad, bad,
blah,
bad,
blah, blah.
bad. Oh yeah,
And again,
Russia's been the boogeyman for. I mean, I joined the army in '94, and I studied Russian doctrine for 15 years. Yeah,
what's the doctrine?
basically the way y'all fight with tanks. Like I was a tanker.
Mhm.
So we studied how the Russians fought with their tanks because we always thought that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, right.
You
Across the
know,
ocean.
Yeah, across the ocean. Yeah. It was, well, they're gonna invade here, or like, we'll have, it never crossed my mind. I was just 19 years old. It never crossed my mind, like the logistics, like how would that even work? They're gonna send, somebody's gonna send their big bombs, and somebody's gonna send their other big bombs, and then the entire world's gonna be
Not
over.
the
And,
tanks, no.
yeah, not the tanks. We're just all gonna be, hairless and skinless and burned to death. So.
Oh, there is a submarine right there. I'm sure
Sure.
by
Right.
DC sitting right there.
Oh yeah.
And it has 14 nuclear.
Oh yeah. Ready to rip.
Each Russian submarine has 14 of them.
Ready to
Or
rip.
16. 14 or 16.
That's great. That's fine.
So that's why I'm not sure about the tanks, but there are other means of sure.
Oh yeah.
And
That was just the education that I got, because that was my job. But I do remember watching the news about Crimea, and it was, again, the devil Russian.
that's when it all started. Just so Crimea voted, and again, that's the Russian point of view. The rest of the world believes that Russia took it over,
They literally made a phone call and said,
but there wasn't a single person
shot,
killed.
no one killed, no
A
nothing.
single shot.
Not like what's going on
And
now,
go YouTube,
allegedly.
Go YouTube and see Russia taking over Crimea videos, and you'll see the videos how it was actually happening. They show it. Lifetime people have been filming on the phone.
Just come flying in and,
Yeah.
hey, how's it going? High five.
Sort of.
Yeah, well, that's
People
crazy.
welcomed that. People voted for that. And again, I'm not objecting to that, or I'm not justifying it.
Right.
I'm not saying it.
That's just what happened.
That's what I know about it.
Right. I mean, that legitimately happened. So, I mean,
Do I know everything? No, I don't.
right.
Am I most objective person in the world? Probably not. But I have family there. I know they're happy. They made money now because before they've been poor as a mice in the church, as we say.
Right.
He
So
had
now
the
they
same
got-
car for like 20 years and he couldn't afford
Jesus.
a new one. Now he's all set. There's jobs, there's money. There's,
So they benefited. Crimea
they
benefited
did.
from.
Again, I don't know about
I
everybody.
don't know about
My
now,
family feels, and again, they're simple people. They're
Right.
engineers. They haven't, they're oligarchs. They don't have any own business or anything. So I make judgments from what I see. So nothing else.
Oh, somebody's talking about the Ukraine joined the Nazis in World War II,
I can talk about that
but they
too
didn't.
a little
Ukraine had no choice. Well, I want to get to what's going on now because
bit.
I only
Historically,
watched a
there are
little.
lots of things. Western Ukraine is one thing. Eastern Ukraine is completely
So
different.
there's a lot of genres over
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And again, there was a whole bunch of Ukrainian nationalists during the war who joined Nazis because Nazis promised them independence.
Well, we all
And
we all know how the
and-
Nazis
and,
made
and,
out.
and creating its own state. And there was the same thing in Croatia, because Croatians always wanted to be to part off of Yugoslavia, and it was called Ustaši's army. Nazis promised them independence, and they joined them too.
Right.
Croatians, yes. Serbians, no. Serbians fought on the other side,
Right.
and they still don't like each other that much. But
80 plus years later.
yeah. But anyway, so Crimea kicked it off. Mr. Obama at that point initiated a whole bunch of sanctions over Russia.
Yeah.
And
Over something that, I mean,
and those sanctions been a laughter. Because, I told you probably, I know a guy, and he had a little fabrication business making little parts for aviations, like fittings and some small things, nothing huge. He quadrupled his business after sanctions because everybody started to buy locally. They wouldn't go overseas and buy.
Well,
anymore.
yeah, we're
And
gonna
he
bu-
said, I want to put a statue of Obama in bronze on the horse in front of my office. Thank you very much.
yeah. Sanctions, they work great, I guess. Fuck,
They did. That's the
They
first
marry
time
sanctions.
actually Russia bought the steak cows, because before Russia was only having like milk cows, and the steaks primarily came from overseas. Because Russia.
So
had
now
a
you
big-
guys got steakhouse. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
After 2014 sanctions started, Russia started actually importing cows because the steaks were not allowed anymore.
Well, there you go. You're welcome. Now you
now you
all
have
got
Rus-
steakhouse.
now you have Russian
which is
ribeye.
gorgeous. Love steak.
Eh,
I don't know about y'all's steak, Russian steak, but
it's not as good as Brazilian, by the way. My
Carl.
respect from Brazil.
Carl, how's the steak? How's the steak in Brazil, Carl?
Oh, magnificent! I heard. I have friends in Brazil. So. Russian,
So,
of course.
speaking of friends, you said when we spoke last week that you got some friends there in Kiev and stuff. So
My
what's-
nephew's in Kiev.
Your nephew is in Kiev.
My nephew's in Kiev. My friend is in Kiev.
So what is their take on everything that's going on?
Well, my friend is Ukrainian, and he dislikes Russia greatly at this point. We have good relations because we have human relations without
Right.
any of that stuff involved, and I'm trying to help him.
Mhm.
And when his family had to evacuate from Kiev to the west of Russia, or west of Ukraine, and they've been sleeping on the train station because there was no accommodation, and local Ukrainians been charging like $1,000 a week for a bed
What?
from the refugees.
So they're fleecing their own people?
Yes, and it
It
was
sounds like
actually-
Americans.
It was actually a big deal, like Airbnb apartments on the west of Ukraine. They went through, skyrocketed through the roof. So
So
this
they're
lady-
taking advantage of their own people.
Oh yeah, yeah, and everybody does. It's a human nature.
Well, yeah, I
Don't
mean,
expect.
That's
everybody
why I
to
was
be
thinking, like,
angels,
Americans would do the same damn thing.
Human nature, you can't beat that up. There is pride, there is greed, there is envy. What can you do about that?
Voted out of office,
Well-
I guess.
Well, believe in God. People forgot God, and that's where it's taking. But anyway, they've been sleeping on a train station on the floor,
Man, yeah.
and we've been in touch every day ever since it started.
So
I
they
was
still
like, "How
got
are you
they
doing?"
still got comms.
Yeah, that's a funny war. They sit there, they have internet, they post videos on YouTube, they have heat, they have
Yeah.
water, they have everything. They have trains and
So
airplanes.
where's the war happening?
That's what I'm saying.
Because you got Grandma Nancy went over there to visit her husband's new chip factory.
you've
We
been-
got Hollywood stars going over there, rubbing elbows with the actor president that they got over there. So what the hell's happening then? Because the shit that if you watch the lamestream media, you're seeing tanks and dead
If
bodies.
you
and-
want to see the acting of Ukrainian president, just go YouTube and see Zelensky playing piano with his dick.
Great.
He was a comedian, excellent comedian though. So that's one of the famous.
Well, didn't he play the president on TV over there?
He
or
did.
something?
It was a movie series.
And then he took the people that he played.
He even called the party he has the same name as the movie series was called.
But he got rid of the other party.
Most of his government is made of the troop, which is called District 95. That's his comedian troop name. Most
the
of the
fuck?
government is made out of those folks.
What do these people know about running a country?
They've been in a movie.
I was in a movie about it.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually. It was a great movie.
I'm not a real president, but I play one on TV.
Well, I would encourage you to watch the first and second episodes of that series. He was a teacher, and one day he got aggravated with something, and he was screaming at somebody at the school, and he was pretty much saying what you're saying about the values, about the corruption, about
Right.
this and this. Exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And he was actually talking like any good man would do. And one of the kids in the school filmed him and put him on YouTube.
Oh,
And this video went
Went viral.
viral. And there was right before the elections, and people actually voted for him. That's how he became president in a movie. That was a movie.
maybe I could become president that way here in America.
So, but anyway, it was a hilarious series. He was a good comedian.
It still blows my mind. But why?
The
But
opposition
why did
call him
he?
a piano
Why did he
player.
get rid of the opposition party? Now there's only one party.
Why do
At
you
least
need
that's
opposition?
why would
look
you? Why would you need?
Well-
Well, I mean, why do we need Democrats?
If you want,
Why do we need
if
Republicans,
you want
really?
to have an ultimate power, why do you need opposition?
You don't.
That's why it's not there anymore.
But
What
I
does
thought
it
he
tell
would-
you? It tells you about the process, or not the process, the direction.
That he's
It's
going
going.
that he wants to take the country.
It's
And meanwhile, you drive. I
and
mean,
it's not
and
even critical
like I
thinking.
have support for the Ukrainian people. Same like like
and I don't.
I support American people, but I
I
am
bet none of
totally
us-
against the politics and all the
I
bullshit.
bet none of us want any of the people die, not in
No.
Ukraine or in Russia or anywhere else. And there is these days.
But I don't trust
see
that
any
guy
good-
as far as I can throw him.
I don't trust any of them, to be honest. Because if you start critically think,
Oh God forbid! Oh, see, there's the buzzword right there. You know, critical
Sorry.
thinking.
Okay, let's put it this way: if you start think,
Yeah, critical thinking. How dare we? Oh my God, that's the
Let's
the
just-
cardinal sin nowadays.
Yeah,
How
get
you
that
just
bottle out, we'll
you
have
just
another
do
shot, and we'll
right.
just
You
think.
just do as you're told. This has been tested. Sure,
you
take
don't-
this.
You don't even need to have an IQ of 350 to figure simple things out.
Right.
You just mentioned that. Everybody says there is a war going on. But you sit in Kiev or any other Ukrainian town making videos and posting them on YouTube, You still have power. You still have internet. What sort of war is that?
Right.
You've been in the army. What did they teach you? First, was
Yeah.
you ruined
Take out
power,
communications,
communications, utilities,
supplies,
bridges,
the
supplies.
whole 9 yards.
That's how you win.
Well, that was the other question because, you know,
None
again,
of
I
them-
studied Russian doctrine for a while, and the Russian army's pretty big. They could have just steamrolled in there
Russian
and just,
army is about 1 million people.
they could have just caused all sorts of chaos. So why is he pussyfooting around them? Was he just trying to get it done without stirring the bees nest up too much?
But look, what again? 2014 situation. Whomever is interested, please go ahead and see what happened after Crimea, when two of the eastern parts of Ukraine wanted independence, and that's when the war started.
Oh,
Because Ukrainian government at that time said, "Oh, we want you guys to remain Ukrainian so badly, so we're coming gonna kill you." So they started bombing them. And that's where Russia kind of stepped in. But anyway, doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're interested, just go and you'll find a lot of videos and stuff about children being killed all in all this eastern parts of Ukraine by the Ukrainian government. Blah blah blah.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So just it's
Like,
all there.
like Greta.
It's
Greta's
all-
blah, blah, blah.
It's all there if you're interested. YouTube is full of this.
So you don't even really know why Putin's pussyfooting around.
I do. Because
Oh.
it's nothing about him, or it's nothing about Ukraine.
What's it about?
My strong opinion is the process of reshaping the world's economy has started, and it started in 2020 with COVID.
Yes.
And here's the next step. So you see what happened? First, they weakened
Oh, yeah.
economies of the world.
Big time.
Number one. Now, this war. What did this war do? It isolated Russia.
Mhm.
Look at Europe.
Oh, you were telling me about it the other day. I had no
My
idea all
friend-
that stuff was
My
going
friend
on.
in Germany, a German guy, texted me or WhatsApped me
The Great Reset.
his utility bill. It quadrupled
And
4 times.
4 times.
And it wasn't small. The utility bills in Germany are crazy. They were crazy before. I
Now
have a
they're-
house there. They were crazy before.
now they're insane.
Now they quadrupled. And he has got a hell of a job. He's well standing. He paid off his house. So he's
Right.
good.
But he still have an
But
insane.
not everybody is.
Right. Right.
And
That's that World Economic Forum.
the steel plants, everybody knows about German steel. German tool steel, German steel, well known.
Mhm.
One of the oldest, not the oldest German steel mill. This place never shut down even during the war. Shut down now because they can't afford the gas.
Can't afford to keep the thing powered up.
Can't afford the gas.
So who's in control of that though?
And
The German government, obviously, but
No.
who's pulling the strings there?
the gas prices rise because of this Ukrainian situation. And they blocked Russia. They kind of, we're not buying Russian gas anymore.
Right.
So the gas went through the roof.
Kind of like
Oil-
what Papa Joe is saying
Oil
over
is
here.
$100 a barrel. It wasn't that much since 1999.
Right. So it's the same thing Papa Joe did over here. It's all Russia's fault why our gas
Yeah,
prices
Papa
went through.
Joe, Mama Joe, I mean, whomever. Do you really think one person is making those decisions?
No.
One
Well, he's not
well,
making. He sure
one
should not
person
making
of
any.
that kind is making.
Yeah, he's not making any friggin' decisions.
You
That's
think
for
he's
goddamn
right?
sure.
But anyway, the
Only
world,
decision he's making is what kind of ice cream he wants
the
tonight.
world is being reshaped. They started with COVID.
So Putin's not down with that.
I think he's a part of it.
Oh, so he's not an ally in this whole deal. Because there's shit floating around all over the internet like he's against the whole the whole reset thing and the World Economic Forum and all that, and he's gonna go in there and find all the dirt about Ukraine and the Bidens and blah blah blah.
What I figured, how do you know which country is not a part of this
The ones that
of
didn't
this show?
the ones that didn't sign on for the vaccine shit.
The ones which didn't shut down for COVID
Yep.
and which didn't go
Sweden.
for this- Sweden, Belarus, Cuba, I think. Well, there are like a handful of them. It's like 5 maybe.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna.
You want to do a proper thing or?
We can do a proper. Yeah. He doesn't like it when I mix.
you don't
I
like-
ruin the vodka.
If you
he
don't
says.
like this drink,
Then
drink
don't
somebody
mix
else.
it.
If you like
Drink
it,
something
drink it
else.
straight. If you don't like it, don't mix it.
Right.
But
One for me.
yeah,
It's hard to pour clear liquor in the dark.
that's why I've asked my wife to get some light.
I appreciate that. Bob says he's sorry. He's like, well, we've just been chatting it up, Bob. We're talking about stuff and things. Ooh, you gotta find a guy to fix this deck for you.
Yeah.
Once lumber is
You
chewable.
guys didn't charge that much.
Well, I gotta pay some bills. It's salute, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, na zdrowie jest. People think Russians say that. They don't.
Dos Vidania.
The Svidania is goodbye.
Oh, well, that's what the Russian mobster guy says before he offs some dude or whatever in the movies.
You go-
American movies.
You go James Bond.
James Bond.
I'm looking for a submarine. It's big and black, and the driver is a good friend of mine.
That's fucking awesome. So, all this garbage is going on. So you're thinking that Putin is a player, and well, did they do the vaccines?
Yeah.
Did they shut down during the COVID shit?
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's not a lot of countries there left.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Fuck. Because I mean, there's I keep on hearing like that. I don't know if you've seen this video. That I don't know what this guy is. He was a German fella. I don't know if he's a. I don't know what even Germany has a parliament or whatever. What does Germany?
Bundestag. It's called. It's a parliament.
It's a parliament.
It's called Bundestag.
So one of their parliament members, or maybe the big cheese, because don't they have a woman running Germany now?
They used to have Angela Merkel,
Yeah. Trump didn't like her.
and I mean, it doesn't really. She was a strong woman.
Oh yeah, get that far.
She's
Yeah.
retired now, and actually, whatever she was, she lives in a small apartment or regular apartment in Berlin.
So she wasn't living high in the hog on the taxpayers'
And look at
dollar.
all those politicians. They retire, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
somebody pays them gazillions of
Oh, they go
monies
speak
for
somewhere. Oh, yeah.
booths
Look at
and
the
they-
Clintons. Look at the Clintons.
They live on the ocean and the fly jets and
Oh, yeah.
do
Nancy Pelosi. She
Whatever-
makes $223,000 a year, and she just bought $1 million mansion in
what-
Florida.
whatever Angela Merkel was. I'm not a big fan of her, but she lives in a regular apartment in
So
Berlin.
she's
She
modest.
retired. She lives in her retirement, kansler's president, whatever. She
It's
calls
dark out, Roxy. Yes,
it. I'll try to get some light.
we're working on some. Why didn't we put any lights back here? Well, the bugs are around the corner, so if we put a light on right here, we would probably get eaten alive.
Yeah, quite a few bugs there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can move towards that.
So this guy in Russia there, or not Russia, I'm sorry, in Germany, I seen a video, and it wasn't like bullshit. This guy was saying that something about September 23rd, 24th of this year is going to be one of those dates that, you'll remember where you were. When on this date, you'll remember it's going to be so profound or whatever. Now, granted, this is the internet, and there's a lot of people out there that like to stoke the fire or whatever. But I hear a lot of shit about, going cashless, one world government bullshit. So all that, I mean, if you really want to dive deep into the rabbit hole,
They keep testing us.
well, I think we failed miserably.
We did.
This
unfortunately.
country failed miserably.
This
People
world-
are just giving away their civil liberties, and it's driving me insane.
This world has, not just this country, and that's very frustrating for me as well.
People are screaming to have their civil liberties taken away.
But the key thing for me, as a new, well, if you sit there, they'll see you better because it's gonna be light behind your back right there.
Oh, okay. I gotta find a
If you
fella.
look at that iPad, nobody can see you probably.
No. I'm trying to find out. I guess we got some fucktards in here, so I gotta make a moderator. Which I don't know if you're familiar with moderators on YouTube. They can kick people out. So I guess we got a couple of I haven't been able to read a lot of the comments because we've been
We
chatting.
got a couple of what?
So we got a couple of what we like to call the libtards, maybe.
What's that?
They're just they think that Biden is great and
Well,
Trump.
aren't we a
Well-
free country? Why don't they
Add my
speak what they want? They should be able to say what they want.
Well, this is the same problem me and Andy have when we go live, right? Because we're always open for conversation.
Yeah.
If someone can have an intelligent conversation on the opposite side of the aisle, the Democrats, like I always say on farm when we go live on Farmers Channel, please sell me your president. Tell me what he's done. Tell me that my life is better now than it was between 16 and 20. I'm a business owner in communist New York, and I'm struggling now. Gas is through the roof. My bills are through groceries. Everything's more and more
Don't
expensive.
forget about taxes.
Oh yeah, 87,000 new IRS agents. I can't wait for tax time this year. I've already called my accountant. Like, hey man, sharpen up that pencil because we're gonna get fucked. I can't wait. It's just gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, and every single time, and Farmer can, he's still in here. He's still watching. He can agree. They never have anything good to say about their president, but all they want to do still is complain about Trump.
And
Trump
why-
is living rent free in most of
But
these
again,
these
why
crazy
does-
people's heads.
Why does it even matter? Okay, you don't like some guy. Okay, focus on what
It
you
was
like.
so
Focus on what you can do. Don't focus on what
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
else does. Just take care of, do your best.
It's that guy. There was a guy that said that me and Farmer were gonna die back in July. So it must be that guy's in here trying to bug us or whatever. I haven't even seen
Since
it
you
yet.
mentioned that the Democrats and stuff, I'm really completely against dividing people that way because we've been artificially created with tags like this.
Oh yeah.
And I'll give you a good example.
Yeah, now I gotta,
Why you don't want it.
I gotta make my girly drink now.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want any more chemicals in your body, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, the only drink the chemists were not able to fake yet is tomato juice. So you cannot get fake tomato juice. All other stuff, all other
Fake.
tastes, you
fake.
can. Most of them are chemical made.
Yeah, now that I'm on this weird diet, I've been reading a lot of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it blows your mind on how much garbage is in that. It's like no wonder everyone's catching cancer and diabetes and all this shit, and they're fat as
Allergies, don't
fuck.
forget.
Allergies and all that. Like, is that like not to get back to back to truck up, but is that like a thing too? When you were growing up in Russia, was there like a lot of obese people or whatever
Very
and all that shit?
unfortunately, when Perestroika started, they got all this stuff from the West, which we haven't
All
been used
the
to.
all the garbage
All
from
this
the
funny
West.
colored drinks and
Yeah,
all this-
soda and
yes, stuff
Burger
which-
King and
which-
McDonald's and
which
all that
Mother
horse
Nature
shit.
hasn't produced.
Right.
Yeah, that was a bad thing.
So basically, we were poisoning.
Successfully.
Oh, well,
Actually.
you're welcome. I guess I don't know. Not really.
Yeah. But anyway, just one thing about Democrats and Republicans.
I hate both of them.
What I mean
Really?
is that one day on Facebook Marketplace, I've seen, I don't know what it was. It was a table or a painting or something the guy was selling.
Mhm.
So my wife said, "Oh, it's a cute thing." I mean, it was on the way home from work, so I just stopped by.
Right. Stop by, pick it up or whatever.
And it was the nicest guy you can imagine.
Mhm.
Nice house. The guy was selling out, going away or whatever, retired, going different state. And yeah, we just talked. I mean, I like talking to people.
Sure.
So we talked this and that, and he like, who you are, Russian immigrant, and where you live? I said, I live here. And he says, whoa, but that's a conservative area. All these Republicans are there. They must hate you because they hate immigrants. I said, no, nicest people in the world. I haven't heard
Yeah.
anything but welcome to America
Yeah.
here. And they actually appreciated it. I moved here legally. I earn my living. I don't jump on welfare or anything like that. And I never had an issue with anybody.
And just so everyone knows,
Is he-
there's an American flag over there. I've never seen a Russian flag. I don't even think I've seen any Russian flag here
It's
ever.
pretty simple flag, and but again, so the Russian thing, I just want to make it clear. I'm not here because I hate Russia. I'm not here because I don't like it or something. I just like this better.
Right. Why not?
I haven't escaped any prosecution.
Well, it would be like a New Yorker moving to another state because they don't like it's not that
A
they like
little bit
they
deeper
hate
than-
New York. It's just like what's going on in New York is no good. Let's go somewhere else and try something
a
different.
little bit deeper than that, but I mean.
Oh, I'm sure.
What
I'm
I
just
mean
trying to
is
break
that-
it down
what I
kindergarten
mean-
style.
What I mean is that I haven't escaped any prosecution. I'm not an economic immigrant because I was making twice as much in Russia as I make here. So it wasn't based on a bad
Right.
job. It wasn't based on I need to run away or something.
Mm.
I was good standing. I never had any issues there. So I don't hate that country.
It doesn't really. I
I
mean,
think it's a glorious history and culture, and I think it's a.
I think
it's
most
a
people- I
country
mean,
of
you've
great
been-
lost opportunities.
you've been all over the place, right? I mean, you've been all over Europe and all America and all that stuff. Are most people like most people are decent? I would say.
Regular people are.
Regular-
Until
regular
they-
hardworking
until they
people
get
that
into
earn
the
their
government
way.
jobs or in
Right.
politics.
People that work hard and earn their way 9 times out of 10, I would say are decent people.
Those are the same values. I mean,
Right.
don't change.
They just, let me pay my taxes and leave me alone.
Yeah.
And be a good human. That's what my wife says. Just be a fucking
And
good
I
human.
want-
It's not that hard to do.
And for those taxes I pay, I want law and order in the country, so my kids can peacefully walk down the street without being afraid to be
Well, unfortunately, in
kidnapped and
this
freaking
state,
raped.
that's not fucking happening anymore.
Wow.
Because we got the bail reform and this garbage. And now, I don't know if you've seen what happened in, I believe it's Illinois Illinois. You can be a rapist, an attempted murder, and threaten a public official, and you're not even held on bail. They just let you out.
Why?
Why? Don't know.
They don't
Some
have any
judge-
more jails?
They have plenty. We have plenty of jails. We got plenty of jails in New York. We used to have a shit ton of people incarcerated.
Hmm.
But why? But I like that because you asked why. Because a lot of people don't ask why. I think, this is my personal opinion, is what happens when you let career criminals out back on the streets? What happens? You get chaos, right?
Crime rate goes up.
Crime
That's
rate
all it
goes up.
does.
So what do you do when you start restricting law-abiding citizens their gun rights?
There's nobody there.
So they become more victims.
Yeah.
So now we have more victims. We have more crime. The government's restricted our rights to carry guns, so we can't defend ourselves. So who are we supposed to look to for help? Oh, big brother government.
Not even that.
And we got the cure.
Who are we supposed to blame? That's what the
Right.
question.
Well,
Trump.
But there you go. There you go. Trump, the orange man did everything. Oh God, the orange man. Fuck. And there's some people that just can't get over that. Like me and Andy have talked about numerous times. I don't like him as a person. I think he's a pompous asshole.
But you don't have to.
But you don't have. That's the thing. That's the
You
thing
don't
that
have to
most.
like your doctor. You don't
Right.
have to like your taxi
As
driver,
long as they do a
do
good
the
job. Right. That's what now, if I'm gonna pay someone money to do something, I don't have to like that person.
And that guy,
As long as they do a good job, they take my money, what they promised me came to fruition, done deal. Move on with our lives. Some
super
people just
straightforward.
can't get over that shit. They can't, I just didn't like him as a person or whatever. Look at our economy. Look where the country was.
you are not getting married with that guy. Why do you
No.
care?
Yeah, who gives a fuck? Some people just, and then I think a lot of people that can't do that, like that word you talked about, critical think for themselves. They just listen to those 3 news stations that are, or all the news channels that are owned by 3 guys in this country. That they don't call it television programming for no reason. They're being programmed with something. You know what I mean? And they just think that they take that as gospel. That's verbatim. That's exactly what's called all the lies or whatever. And I don't know what's true and false with the whole raid on Mar-a-Lago and all the bull, the Russian
You don't need
dust.
to. I mean, why
Right.
do
I
we
mean,
need
you
to
can
think
see
about it?
through half the shit anyway.
But as I told you, that guy, a true liberal and Democrat,
He thought that.
but again, he had the core values. He was an older fellow,
Right.
and he was about the freedom and stuff to do.
Well, I mean,
But he
I'm sure you
thought-
know. Oh, that's not the ashtray.
That's
Jesus.
not-
Oh my God.
He thought
Oh my God.
that
2
the
shots.
conservatives, the Republicans, are evil because they don't like people. They don't.
But
like,
where did he learn that?
he was brainwashed sometimes.
Right.
As
Like,
many
are you familiar?
anybody,
Are you familiar with John F. Kennedy?
Of course. He was
In
assassinated.
in today's political spectrum, he would be a fucking conservative right now. He believed in the Second Amendment. He believed in the First Amendment. He wanted to tear down the CIA and shit can the FBI. And next thing you know, his brains are all over the back of some fucking Lincoln in front of his wife. Weird how that happened.
Mysterious story.
Yeah, mysterious how that was. So, and Trump wasn't a fan of the CIA and all that shit either. I heard. Who knows? I don't know. At this point in time, what's true and what is
There
true?
should be checks and balances, and that's the whole point of.
And that's the problem I think we have. And I mean, as a feller that's now, been here for 3 years permanent, obviously you travel back and forth.
No,
I mean, you got the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, these career politicians that are up there spewing the same bullshit and just pushing through these policies that are hurting Americans. And there's still people out there that can't see that.
I think the career politician as a term has to be an oxymoron. It shouldn't even exist.
Right.
This political system was designed for politicians to temporarily come to Washington, D.C., do some decisions which pertain to foreign affairs, overall federal business and then go away and be farmers or whatever,
Right.
newspaper owners.
I mean, that's how the
That's how
original.
this system was designed to accommodate for that kind of politician,
Right.
not career politician is an oxymoron. It shouldn't be a career.
Nancy Pelosi's been in politics since John F. Kennedy was alive.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I know that.
And like I said, she only makes $223,000 a year, but she just bought a multi-million-dollar mansion in Florida, which she chastised Ron DeSantis the whole time during COVID.
Stop envy the poor lady. She must have done a scratch off.
Oh, yeah, she did a couple fucking scratch offs, all right. And her high heels and her fucking, I think we're drinking vodka. She's on the vodka all the fucking time. It's great.
But again, every country you go, it's probably one or two politicians you see who don't take advantage of their jobs. That Angela Merkel, who lives in a simple apartment,
Right.
I'm not sure if she doesn't have a suitcase full of cash under that
Sure.
poor bag.
Why not? She's probably has a plan
Putin is
too.
probably the richest man in the world. But people take advantage of this.
I mean,
It's a
Trump
human
didn't
nature.
even take his salary.
Well, Trump was
Not
rich
like
when,
he needed one,
Trump was rich when he got the job,
right?
and that's what I like.
But the thing was, he couldn't be bought and paid for.
hmm
And now they just push their little puppet across the aisle. I mean, look at when the first couple of days after his inauguration, he's writing all these executive orders. I don't even know what this says. I'll just sign it. Just sign it, Mr. President.
And then they call Putin a dictator.
Right. So what the fuck?
That's not quite democratic way, I think. But this country wasn't designed for any of that.
No.
But again, that just comes back to your question: why America and all that.
But our roof is just leaking.
Roof's leaking. That's fine. It could be fixed.
If people wake up,
People should, and
that's the problem.
there is enough of older people in this country who could still remember.
Yeah. I mean, most people, you know what I do for a living. I'm all over the place in central New York, and I've yet to run into someone, as of late,
Mhm.
that is just jumping up and down, just, this president has done so, everyone I've met is miserable with what's going on.
But again, this country,
But on the other hand, they don't say anything.
350 million people here. Are all of them rich?
Fuck no.
Most of the rest of the world think that Americans are primarily rich.
Was that what you were,
Yeah.
like when you were growing up in the USSR, I thought we were all,
I'll give you a funny story. A friend of mine, in early 90s or something, was sent out here for school exchange when the Soviet Union collapsed,
Right.
and he was in a school with a deeper program for English language. So the bunch of kids been sent over here
Right.
for a student exchange for 6 months. And that's how you develop stereotypes. That's the reason I'm telling you that. So he himself and his friend, whom I also know briefly, came here. 6 months after they meet, they've been sent different places.
right.
So 6 months after they meet at JFK, one loves America, another one hates it with passion. One was sent to California to a family of a plastic surgeon, something like that guy, with,
Right.
with wife, no kids,
Right.
a house with ocean view and swimming pool.
Maserati, the whole, oh yeah.
They took him Disney, they took him everywhere, they bought him everything. He was coming back with suitcases full of stuff and
Right.
electronics.
Got
and you
spoiled
name it.
rotten.
6 months of that life.
Right.
Other guy ended up in a trailer park somewhere. I forgot exactly where it was, he told me. So ended up in a trailer
The
park
two extreme spectrums
on a
of
school bus. All they fed him back in that trailer was peanut butter sandwiches for 6 months. It was
Jesus.
90% of the menu these guys had.
Holy
First of all,
Christ.
he hates peanut butter. Second, he hates America. Because
Still.
the only thing he has seen here was that trailer park.
Right.
And peanut butter sandwiches.
And then, and going back to what you said before, travel. Unfortunately, he couldn't. He's an
That
exchange
was the
student.
only
But,
time he was here.
right.
He hasn't
Come back.
got any desire to be here, even for a day.
Even after you've conversated with him
Now,
and
we've
says,
talked a million times.
hey man, there's fucking really great steak over here. We got ribeye.
Well,
We got more than peanut butter sandwich.
he can't even come here anymore. I can't even get my parents here for a visit.
Really?
America stopped issuing visas to Russians.
But the border's wide open.
Oh yeah. That doesn't
So
matter.
why don't you just send your parents to Mexico and have them just walk across, pick them up in El Paso?
Well, before their pants are dry, they'll get citizenship, probably.
It'd be quicker than what you fucking got, huh?
Yeah, it's kind
Ah,
of funny, but yeah.
that right there's got to
But
chap
I'm
your
just
ass
telling you
like
that people
crazy.
get different stereotypes very easily. It doesn't take much to just get addicted to an opinion.
Right.
Really, it
I mean,
doesn't.
I tried to, like, I remember when, after the election, I call it we lost, because I never voted. I mean, here I am, an American citizen. Here you're trying to get your citizenship so you can vote.
I'm
And
desperate.
I've never,
I want
the
to.
first time I ever voted was in 2016.
That's what my neighbor told me.
Yeah.
He never did until this time
Yeah.
because he really wanted to try to make some difference.
Right. Because we were weighing our options and going, holy fuck,
All it means,
this is bad.
all it means, it got to a critical stage.
Can you imagine if Hillary had won? This whole reset
I
thing
can
would have been
imagine
4 years
anything.
ahead.
I can imagine anything these days
Well,
because
yeah.
people kind of we just bite any bullets.
Yeah.
These days, that's it. I'm
But
not.
my wife was the one that got me into it. Because she's like, you're not allowed to bitch unless you can't complain unless you go vote.
But it's a very simple thing. I think that's a bad thing about media, social media, and YouTube, because we stopped doing things in real life. We just talk here, we sit here and have a conversation, which normal people would have,
Right.
but we just blow the steam and we're good. I
Well,
mean, you should go.
What most
If
people
you want
don't.
to change something, go into freaking politics and
Right.
try to change it. I mean, that's the way to go. I cannot, but I wish I could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm kicking the idea around. I mean, but the thing is, like, in this, like, you probably weren't here yet. Is, you know 20 years ago, a Republican and a Democrat could sit in a coffee shop and have a conversation and agree to disagree. And now things are so polarized in this country, it's us against them. There is no hardly any common ground. But getting back to that guy you went and talked to,
Hmm.
that's what their side has done to them. They've eviled us, and it's vice versa. Like, I watch Fox, and they love to bat the bee's nest and get us, conservatives all riled up on what the Democrats are doing. So one side's not without sin as the other.
You know
They're
that
just as fucking bad.
Tucker Carlson is
Oh, yeah.
extremely popular in Russia.
You were telling me that, yeah. Tucker Carlson is the man in Russia.
They
Believe
actually
that or not.
They translate all his videos and put it on YouTube in Russian language.
That's crazy. Because they're probably, what's really going on. I mean, Tucker's all right. He still likes, he's got the clickbait and likes to get people wound up. But I see, going back to your guy that you stopped, the Craigslist thing.
Hmm.
So this kid just went viral not too long ago on a TikTok.
Hmm.
And he claims he's a liberal. Said he was going to go to this is just a month or so ago, was going to go to a Trump rally and proclaim that he was a liberal or whatever.
And it's fine to be liberal.
He was welcomed in with open arms. He was brought to a prayer meeting with this woman. He would walk up and say, "Hey, my name is so and so, and I'm a liberal." And most of the time, they stick a hand out. "How you doing?" Whatever. No hate. The guy got zero hate. Now I challenge anyone to go to some crazy liberal march or whatever and wear a MAGA hat or just to proclaim that they're a Republican and see if they would get the same response. That's where,
Highly unlikely.
exactly. And that's where I quit trying to see the other side, because they're so blinded by whatever hate they got going on, they can't even see in front of their face. So why should I even try to conversate with you when all you're going to do is scream at me? Call me a fascist and a racist and all this other crazy shit, just because I still believe in the core values of what created this country. How about read the Constitution? Anybody try to fucking do that once in a while?
But
That'd be neat.
But don't forget, I mean, this country became great for a bunch of good reasons.
Right.
It just didn't happen overnight.
No.
It took a lot of work, and this work was done by people who came from across the world.
Yeah, we're all immigrants in this place.
To change the life.
Unless you're an American Indian, everyone's an immigrant here.
Correct.
I seen a sign that said, you're on stolen land.
But you know,
Everywhere's stolen
I've,
land.
I've talked to a lady recently. She's a Comanche. She's an American native.
Yeah.
And she's very frustrated about everything, and she's.
Oh, they got shit on.
But you know what she told me? Us natives, we have to obtain a piece of paper saying that you're native, which gives you certain benefits.
Right.
They have to do almost a blood test. She says it's dogs and us who have to go through verification process to prove who we are, and it's a shame.
Right.
And it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I understand, we shouldn't be. We are where we are. We shouldn't look back 300 years ago and just try to figure things out. But if you go just back to 50s, not so long ago, 1950s, America was manufacturing 50% of the world commodities.
Yeah, now what are we doing?
That's how the country became great.
Right.
Not by the stock market.
And then then comes the egos and the
So,
money hungry and all that shit.
We're just gonna get back to work. That's all it is. It's pretty straightforward and simple.
We'll stop farming our shit overseas to be made on the pennies on the dollar and then send it back over here.
I got a Farmall tractor. You know that.
I see that.
1943. That thing runs
Fuck yeah.
beautiful.
My dad's got one too.
But I showed a picture. I have a friend from Holland, Netherlands.
New Holland?
Netherlands. And he says, oh, my grandfather had the same tractor. So this Farmall tractor has been exported around the world,
Right.
along with others,
Right.
American products.
Still
So-
running.
All we need to do, we just need to focus on remembering what happened just a few years ago. It wasn't that long ago. It's just,
The problem is there's so many of these politicians that are in charge now that are just selling us out.
and the reason is that good
And people
people
keep-
don't go into politics.
Right. Because it's dirty.
Because you're too busy.
Right.
So sell me your
Well,
business.
too busy trying to friggin' work.
Sell me your business and go on the freaking politics. Make difference.
That would be.
I'll build houses and you do the job.
Believe it or not, building houses sounds like it's easier.
It's not. Because all it takes, just good people need to start making difference. And the only way is to just go and freaking go represent other good people.
Well, that's kind of like what
That's
me
pretty
and
simple.
yeah,
you know?
I mean that's why me and Farmer still try to just remind people.
Yeah.
Hey, pay attention. Look what the fuck is going on here. Look what they did here.
Because we can put as many flags as we want.
Oh yeah.
But unless we actually go and try to change something,
Nothing's gonna happen.
being a representative of other good people, nothing's really going to change.
Exactly.
All I can do, I can invest in the country, my work, my taxes,
Oh,
My-
they're getting plenty of those,
my
brother.
legal behavior, so I don't do any lousy stuff and
Right.
just don't break laws. That's it. But if the laws become crazy, we gotta send somebody out there in the White House to represent
Oh, it's not just the
ourselves.
white. I mean, it's at
So
the
they-
local level.
So they fix things.
I mean, Andy's a county legislator. He's your legislator, I believe. I think. I'm
Cayuga?
pretty sure. Yes. He's Cayuga County legislator, and you wouldn't believe the shit that happens there. Like I should just subscribe this last week because he raised some holy hell this last Wednesday. There, I watched the video, and I subscribed to the YouTube channel because I got to start watching. I mean, it starts at the local level, and that's where the bullshit starts too. And they just it's.
But you know what French farmers did when
They sprayed the capital with cow
they
shit.
brought manure
That's
and dumped it in front of
fucking
the
awesome.
county house.
But look what they do here. Look what happened in Canada when the truckers just showed up.
Uh-huh.
They're commandeering trucks. They're taking over bank accounts. They're throwing people in jail. They're selling their trucks.
Canada is actually going crazy.
Canada's.
You know, in Quebec, they have recently put a law that you can't speak English. If you go to your lawyer or your doctor or something, they have to talk to you in French. And if you write them an email, they have to respond to you in French, even if you don't speak friggin' French.
What? Why would they do that?
they saying they're trying to preserve the culture and identity and all that, but exact same thing took place in 30s in Germany when a man with a funny mustache
Right.
tried to burn some books because
Burn
they
books.
didn't fit the legend.
Right. I mean, if you look around what's going on, there's history tends to repeat itself, and there's a lot of crazy shit.
Oh, we easily forget.
There you go, Josh. You got a wrench. I had to make some more moderators, I guess. In the comments, I guess there's maybe some hate going on. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back through because this will post on my YouTube page later. So right now we lost a few. So we got 83 folks still watching, 116 thumbs up. So that's cool. So people are digging the conversation. That's neat.
But again, we're not trying to promote any unusual ideas over here.
Well, that's the thing. We get people that are just want to cause chaos.
Liberty and justice for all. That's all we're talking
Well,
about.
answer me this one. Do you suppose there's some young teenage Ukrainians right now that are worried about fucking gender studies?
No.
You suppose they got time for that horse shit?
None of the people
Like,
in Eastern Europe really
we
worry
have
about
first
that.
world issues over here. We're so spoiled that people are fucking bored.
Well, if you go that route, it's very clear. If you're not allowed to vote, if you're not allowed to buy alcohol, if you're not allowed to be in the army, you shouldn't be allowed to make decisions about your gender, about your this, about your that. It's pretty straightforward. Once you are allowed,
We think
then
that.
you do what the hell you want.
We think that way, but there's the thems and theys. Like there's a hospital out west somewhere that is performing hysterectomies on little girls, single-digit little girls, because they say they're identifying as boys.
Well,
how the fuck is that ethical?
In many schools across the country now, there are kids who identify as cats.
Yeah.
They actually made them to put cat toilets in bathrooms. Because
Oh, yeah, I mean, Andy talked about that, and then people were up in arms saying, I'm not paying school taxes for fucking cats.
No, there is a very clear thing. Animals are not allowed in school. If you're a cat, stay home.
The mental dysphoria is out of control, and it's being championed instead of, like, fixed.
Well,
Like something, if your kid is like, like when I was growing up, I knew a bunch of Tom girls. I had a friend of mine, she was a girl. We're out in the woods playing in the mud and playing with Matchbox cars or whatever. She didn't want to fucking cut her tits off and be a boy.
Well, I don't care, really, if people make those choices when they are mature enough.
Right.
I live my life, they live their life. That's fair.
But unfortunately, we got parents now that
You
are
don't tell me
jumping
how I
on
live
board.
my life. That's the whole thing about it.
Well, now that's the other issue with that side of the aisle is they're trying to tell us how to live our
But
lives
one
as
thing,
well.
if you look over there, you will see my chickens and ducks.
Mhm.
Those chickens will stay alive because they produce eggs. Those ducks will soon die because they're going to make McCann's too. And I made that decision. The question is, do we, you and me, want to be chickens and ducks?
No,
No. That's why we have to make difference.
right.
I make those decisions for those creatures over there. Is it fair? I don't know, but that's my decision.
Their brains they don't know what they're doing.
But we are not.
Right.
We are not any of them.
No.
So why we should allow anybody to make those decisions? If you produce eggs and you make value, you stay alive. If you don't, you get in a can. So we just
It's
need
so
to make
simple.
sure.
It's so simple.
We just need to make sure that there is nobody who is making those decisions for us. Because we're neither chicken nor
Or
ducks nor nothing.
the people that we hire to make these decisions
Mm-hmm.
have our best interests.
Well, if you
That's
hire
the
them,
problem.
they have to represent what you want.
Why is this Illuminati guy still in there? What? This is the guy that said that me and Farmer were gonna be dead in fucking July. Why is he in here? Someone boot that guy out of here.
July which year?
This year we were supposed to die after the 4th of July. I don't
You're
know.
a freaking zombie. Though.
I'm a ghost or a zombie, must be. I mean, Farmer, Christ. Very interesting talk tonight, but this kid has to work tomorrow, so good night. We'll take it easy, Mike. I appreciate you showing up. We might be wrapping things up very shortly because, shocker, I got to piss. And
The
only
good
thing you
thing,
guys
in the
can even
village, you can just go
barely see me.
just go there and pee, you know.
I do the same thing on my deck too, so that's fine.
Yeah, I
But,
need that so I scare the coyotes off.
yeah, it works.
Yeah, after that chemicals you drank, there's not
Oh
going to
yeah.
be common enough.
Oh
That
well,
pee.
allegedly it's 100% juice, but I read the bottle and that's a lie.
Yeah, juice. What? Beetle juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Black
the thing is,
agents
there's
at
nothing.
timeouts.
There's nothing
The
extravagant.
the
about
purge
it.
is happening. Cowboy Muse says the purge. Yeah, there's a purge of some sort.
But again, very clearly, if you want to ever make any difference other than talk on YouTube, go elect.
Well, Farmer's talking
Fine.
about he doesn't want to run again for county legislator. I've been kicking around the idea. I don't know if he's still in here listening, but my wife says I could do it. I don't know how well they would tolerate me because if they can't tolerate him,
Well, it's only because it's one.
right?
We need to get more good people in there.
You would be surprised in how many do nothing Democrats and do nothing Rhino Republicans run just this county.
Well, there are things we got to change.
Term limits would be nice.
Term limits, one thing. The unions is another thing. Other thing is the way government spends money. I worked on enough of here. In 3 years I've been here, I worked on enough of government projects, building things for them.
Seth says I need to run.
They're just wasting money.
Right. I was in the military for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
The whole joke about we buy a toilet seat for $80, that's not a joke.
Well,
The
the
way-
spec for a toilet seat in the army is like 20 pages long.
Yeah, no shit.
Do you have any special buttocks in there or something?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of trees that the government kills just on paperwork alone it's ridiculous. Everything is ridiculous. I don't think there's one quick. I mean, there needs to just be more people that come together and realize what's going on and try to make a
There are
difference.
two types of people.
I was in the Russian military. I can't read that, and I don't want to turn the phone towards you, but he said he was in the Russian military. He was a sergeant.
Oh, that's cool.
Did
Which
you-
year that was?
I can't read your name, feller, but tell me, if you want to tell us what year that was, that'd be cool. It looks like Annex, or Anex. Not sure what that spells in Russian. I was in Russian military. I'm a sergeant. Are you in the Ukraine right now? Yeah. Hey, DJ Smith, do away with qualified immunity. Yeah. Sure. It's just a lot more going on than we are looking at. The vision that is given to us to see, it's not real. Oh yeah, there's
But I mean,
so much backdoor bullshit.
returning to Ukrainian subject, just one quick remark. My friend there, my relative there, when I talk to them,
2010.
all they want the war to end, or because at this point men are not allowed to exit the country between 18 and 65 because they could be drafted. So if you are
What country is this?
Ukraine.
Damn.
So if you are a man between 18 and 65, 55 or 60, something like that, so older age. So if you are between that age, you're not allowed to leave the country. So your wife and your children can go, you'll have
You
to
gotta
stay.
stay.
So
Can you imagine if they did that over here? Did you know the chaos that would be in this
you only
country?
have 3% of people with passports, so they won't go anywhere.
Well, once you join the military, your ID card is your passport. I've been all over no, not all over the globe, but I've been to really shitty places, like Korea.
Don't name them.
Korea, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and I never had a passport. I just had an army ID, and I was carrying a rifle, so they let me through.
So
So
those two guys, they have families, they have children. They say, when we are allowed to exit, we'll come here, United States.
right,
And I said, why? And they say, we understand there is nothing good happening in Ukraine anytime soon. And again, they're Ukrainians. They really support what's going on in Ukraine, the defense and all
Right.
that. They don't like Russia.
But the aftermath,
But they understand. That's a funny balance right there. So they say, yeah, we are Ukrainian patriots, but we understand Ukraine is not, because both of them had business before the war started.
right?
Both of them have the business ruined, and it's not coming back anymore.
Kind of like the COVID shit over here.
And they say, as soon as we're allowed to go, we'll go. And where we go,
I'm looking for a guy.
they come in here. And I said, why? And they said, because America is the only place where you can come, start from scratch, and still be successful.
Right.
Eventually.
Yeah,
I
you
told
gotta work.
And I told them, if you come here without the language, without experience here, you can probably expect a job, you know, maybe $20 an hour or something, physical work or something like that. They say, we're good. We'll go for
Come
it.
on over. I got a spot for you right now.
We'll go and give it a try, because you just need to understand one thing. And that's a message to everybody on watching right now. There is a very limited number of countries in the world, and America is number one of those. There is Australia and Canada.
Well, Australia is going to hell too.
To add to that, but to a lesser extent. So America is pretty much the only country in the world where you can come here and become American in your lifetime. You
Right.
proclaim you are, you appreciate the values, you live the life of an American, and you will be accepted as one. I live here for 3 years. I have an accent. I'm a foreigner. Everybody knows that. But I'm accepted as American.
Yeah.
Nobody I know, none of my neighbors, none of the good people I know consider me anybody else than an American. It would be completely impossible, either in Russia or in Germany or in any European country. Your grandchildren may become, maybe.
Maybe.
But you and your children will be considered foreigners forever. Here, you can become American in your lifetime. And that's one of the reasons all those millions of people came from across the world
To come
in those
here.
years, because they can shape their own life the way they want and the
And
way
this
they work.
is like the last stop to do that.
And that's the only place you can.
Yeah.
You can immigrate to Germany, get a good job, be successful, make money, but they will never accept you as a German. Never. Your children, highly unlikely. Your grandchildren have a better chance.
Jesus.
Here, I come here and I say, I am American, because I want to be one. And I'm trying to live, yeah, except for the food, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm learning to like pizza and stuff, you know. But
Hey man,
anyway.
pizza shop up here is banging pizza.
pretty good.
Yeah. Get
I'm-
the charbroiled wings. That's
Yep.
the bomb.
Actually, I've tried that too. But
Hell yeah.
But I'm kidding. But there are things in America which I don't like. There are things in America which I don't understand. But it doesn't matter.
There's things I've lived here my entire life, man. I don't understand and don't like a
Well,
shit ton of
because-
stuff.
But whenever you go, it's still going to be the same thing. But here, you can proclaim yourself an American, and if you appreciate the values, you
Yeah.
respect the Constitution and the flag, and the history of the country, and people here, you will be accepted as one.
Right.
And that's the only place in the world this is even possible. People don't understand that. You don't, because
Right,
you
because
live
I've
here.
lived here my whole life. I'm
I mean,
spoiled.
when I say you, I mean Americans.
Right.
Generally,
Well, we're
they don't-
spoiled.
They don't appreciate
Right.
this opportunity,
Yeah.
and that's actually funny.
And the thing is like there's people in this country that are literally trying to vote those types of rights away, and are
Well,
screaming to have their
well,
civil liberties taken
I'll-
away.
I'll tell you one thing. I've talked to a lady today. Today it was. The village over there. Right there. They have a program. It's called the Backpack Program.
Backpack program.
And the program kicked off when the school teachers have noticed that the young kids in the school, juniors, would come to the school on Monday extremely hungry. And teachers would kind of look at that and like, what's going on?
And bring me some of those pickles if they're good.
So the kids were not fed well at home during the weekend.
There's actually
Parents either don't have money or
Yeah.
don't care.
there's
or
hunger
drunk.
and believe it or not,
So-
there's hunger in America,
So
which is
a
out of
bunch
control.
of ladies in the area started this program where on Fridays they would give bags with some food to the kids who I need. And last year they've given away 5,000 bags,
Crazy.
and it's all donations.
Yeah.
And I've donated today to that program when she told me all that. So we have things to fix,
There's tons of things to fix.
but there are people here who still appreciate America as it
Hell
used to
yeah.
be, and America, which became great. We, over the last couple of years, we've seen all possible ways of ruining the country.
Oh yeah.
We know perfectly how to do it now.
Oh yeah. They got that down.
Thank you very
pat.
much for teaching us the lesson.
Right. Thanks for the small subscription
a-
in socialism. I'd like to return to
It was
democracy now.
yeah, it was excellent. Explanation.
Do not recommend.
A great learning curve. We got enough.
Yeah, we've had enough.
Let's flatten this freaking curve.
Yeah, the real curve. I'm gonna go water your grass somewhere because my girly drink is saying it needs to be
Well,
outdoors.
Yeah.
Right
bad
now.
Too bad it's not winter, you know.
Yeah, I could write my initials in the snow.
Well, when we've been younger, the ground would burn under us. Now the snow doesn't melt, you know.
Yeah, that's weird how that works. You can come up with anything you want to talk about.
I can.
I'm sure you got a subject somewhere.
Well,
I'm gonna go next to the shed.
but one thing, guys, is like when Jimbo's taking a technical break, it's just amazing how much people don't appreciate, from what the basic rights they have and very basic opportunities they granted just for the fact of being born in a place like this. And it's fine to be a liberal, and it's fine to challenge everything when you were like, 18 years old. Everybody went through that, unless you've been working the ass off on a farm and you didn't have any time for that. But that's what they said. If you haven't been a liberal at the age of 18, you don't have any heart. If you remained a liberal at the age of 25, you don't have any brain. It's pretty straightforward, because at one point you kind of appreciate the fact that the commodities, our food, just our basic tools, whatever, means of satisfying our basic needs are created by work. Simple work, no bullshit, honest people who actually care about bringing value. And that's what I really enjoy in America, is that the area I live in, I see those honest, hard-working people who really don't try to make it easy. They really go a hard way, and because that's the only way they really know to be a real American. Just work and make difference by your own efforts, not by somebody else coming over and just throwing things at you, Oh, here you go, you got a bunch of food stamps. You'd be happy,
Moses Sandal, that was
Ah, that made difference.
that
didn't
thing.
it?
Oh, I'm like 10 pounds lighter. I tell you what, I could probably run. Maybe not. Maybe a quarter of a mile.
Don't
probably
start
not.
levitating. Just
Yeah. Are you from California? Who has hardworking? Who has hardworking there? Who? Drug dealers. Oh, that's the Russian feller. Yeah, we're not from California, bud, but
I've never been to California, but actually half of California used to be Russian back in the days.
really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, look at the map. You'll see places called Russian Valley,
Ah,
Fort Ross.
makes sense.
Everybody knows about Alaska, which was sold,
Mm,
but nobody knows about half of California.
Seward.
Eh,
That guy's from Auburn.
It's a funny fact, but anyway.
You told that you are from California. Oh, maybe he's talking to somebody else.
I'm not even sure where California is. Somewhere
If you're
over there.
American, you've already moved from Cali. Yeah, buy your electric car.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah. Electric
Because that's going to work out great. You want to know why? Because, if you're not a good communist and if you have an electric car, sure, they can just shut your car off.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and let's ask a question
Yeah.
to the
Survey.
audience and see, a social study.
Social experiment coming your way. Pay attention, everyone. Here it comes.
The batteries from electric cars, all those propellers from the wind farms, they do have a very limited life cycle. Everybody knows that.
Yep. I mean, I have lithium batteries in my trailer right now.
Do you
Replace
know?
them all the time.
Do you know where they actually they don't know how to recycle any of that? Neither the propellers from the wind farms nor the lithium batteries.
Mhm.
Do you know where they go when their life cycle's ended?
No.
Give them 30 seconds.
Where do batteries and the windmill blades go, everyone? Does anyone know? Can anyone tell us? Carl, Google that shit up real quick. Carl's pretty sure.
No Google.
No go. Okay, Carl, don't Google it. Google is cheating, I guess.
For this particular case, yes.
For this particular case, you're allowed. Sure. Does anyone know where Tesla batteries and windmills? 15 kids are dying every day in Africa about 15 kids are dying every day in Africa from lithium batteries.
Mining the lithium.
Mining the lithium. But hey, we're saving the planet. Actually, that's pretty good dry.
I'm telling you that.
That's Grey Goose is the bomb.
So-
I got that for my anniversary.
Which anniversary? Wedding?
My wedding anniversary.
When was that?
3 years.
No, what's the date?
15th of September.
8th of September, we had 21.
21 years. Moses Sandal.
So the answer.
About ready to retire.
Yeah. Well, no,
Don't tell her that.
you'll be
They
shot.
go
You'll
to-
be shot before you go.
They go to a landfill, says Seth.
The landfill is located in Africa. They put them on boats,
They take them back to Africa.
take them to Africa, and bury them in the sand.
Great.
Thank you very much.
So Carl said landfill as well. So they go to a landfill in Africa, basically bury them in the desert and forget they were even there. Because, we're all just
and let those
saving the
bastards-
fucking planet, right?
Yeah. So
Michael Brash said on September 12th, him and his wife did 52 years.
congratulations.
Congratulations, Mike. Cheers to you and your wife. Nothing new, yeah.
And it's not.
But all these, but
it's
think
not even
about the
freaking
people
critical
that,
thinking.
but think about some of the people that buy these things and they think that they're curbing their carbon footprint and they're saving the planet and all this horse shit, not knowing where the stuff comes from, where it goes when it's dead. My trailer was parked here for what, a month? It is full of lithium batteries that stay in there when it's 90 degrees outside or if it's 10 degrees outside. I just finally this year smartened up and started putting the date on the batteries just to see how long they'll last. Because I throw out probably at least 3 batteries a season because they won't charge anymore.
Yep.
And to replace a Tesla battery is 26 grand.
I
At
can
the
easily
least.
Imagine that.
How long you got? Like, I just bought that 2018 Super Drinker, brand new in 2018. I can easily put probably 200,000+ miles on that thing, as long as I keep the maintenance on it, whatever. All that maintenance added up, even if I blow an engine, is not gonna run me $26,000 fucking dollars.
No.
They're gonna run that battery here in upstate New York when it can get -10 all the way up to 90. The fluctuation in temperature with that battery, the salt on the roads, the vibrations, all that shit. You're gonna want to drop 26 grand in 6, 7, 8 years.
No. And that's not even critical thinking. It's just logic, common sense, nothing more than that.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Common sense isn't that common anymore.
Yeah. Uncommon sense.
Yeah. We got 131 thumbs up, and we got 77
But
folks still
I'll tell you
watching.
one
So that's cool.
Another question.
Another question, another social experiment. Here we go.
Last week,
I'll take a combustion engine any day. Yes, sir.
with a standard,
I got one right there. Neat.
you got to let me drive that one day.
Hell yeah,
I'm
man.
missing that thing.
Yeah. Before I change it over, this is not a popular opinion, but I am gonna change Butch over to an automatic over the winter. I hope, but I'll let you drive it first because it's like a dumb truck.
I really enjoy that.
Oh yeah, she's old school.
Now the only manual I have is my Farmall. So the question.
You can buy them, but they're like Sheila camps. You hear about them, you just don't see them.
So last week, 1,200 European scientists, or maybe international, like all around the world scientists, have signed a petition that CO2 carbon dioxide.
Right.
It's actually good
Yeah.
because it feeds the trees and
Yeah.
that makes our planet green.
The Amazon's bigger.
So they started doing this carbon footprint reduction business, and now the scientists in Europe popped up with a petition saying that they've made the research and they disapprove that because it actually kills the nature.
Yeah.
The question is, why do you think they did this?
Ooh. See, now you got why?
Last week.
Why would they go
A week
against the
ago they
grain?
did.
Why would they go against the grain?
Yeah, clock's ticking.
So why? So why would all these scientists say that
And that's a true fact. So,
carbon dioxide? I mean, I've read about it too. That the Amazon forest is actually growing because of the CO2 in the air. But God forbid you have, out in California, you have a
So,
large carbon
the answer
footprint.
is, the reason European scientists went for it is because they have to restart coal mines in Europe because the gas is so expensive.
Yeah.
They got to start burning coal to survive.
So they got to go back 50,
So
60
they
years.
immediately,
So instead of building a
change-
brand new nuclear power
as we
plant.
say in Russia, that's called change your shoes during the run. So they immediately figured it out that now they have to survive with this gas prices and stuff.
Yeah.
They had coal mines in Europe which been stopped because it was considered environmentally unfriendly, blah blah blah.
These Democrats made a business out of renewable
So
energy.
Now
Hmm.
now they're getting back to burning coal, and to justify that,
Right.
they immediately switched on the common sense and said, "Oh, it's good because the trees actually eat CO2.
Right. They
eat.
grow.
That's how they grow.
I mean, if you got some piece of shit running down the road smoking like a freight train, that's
It does
not-
match the current agenda. Let's reshape the world,
Mm.
and they call it economical liposuction, when they decrease the countries which had wealth now don't have it anymore.
Right.
Businesses stop, farmers stop.
Well, you were telling me about that a lot of
Yeah.
businesses from Europe are now moving to
Europe.
America.
Correct. I just heard recently European companies are bringing production to the United States. And again, from the perspective of building up the American economy,
That's great.
What is going in the world is great. We're going to have the Rust Belt of America shiny again. They're coming back. But
James Thurston here says 90%, 97% of climate scientists are saying that the world is heading for a doomsday event if we don't change. But we went to we went to community college. Yeah,
well,
community college.
it's all rubbish, you know.
It is. It's
It's
horseshit.
really rubbish. Simply
I mean, okay,
there is
I get it, like the smog thing in the cities. I understand that. But you got millions of people stacked on top of each other like fucking cordwood. You got all these big skyscrapers that are inches away from each other, and you're running all these all these vehicles. Duh.
I've been to Beijing 3 times.
They don't give a fuck.
I have thrown several white shirts after those visits because my colors turned black.
Right. China doesn't give a fuck.
And again, nothing again. Chinese people live the life they've chosen to live. There's a lot of them there, and they have a history like no other. They have a culture like no other, and I'm really appreciative of that. I've been actually learning Chinese language, because until you learn language of people you're trying to talk to, you don't understand them.
Right.
Because language determines a lot of the mentality. People don't realize that. But the way, look at India, China, this is like half of the world's population.
So when you were, this guy just made a comment that kind of tripped a memory of mine. When I was younger, it was about the ozone layer. You don't hear about that anymore. So when I was young, that was the same thing.
Oh yeah, they're making
The
they
hairspray.
punch it with rockets.
Right.
and stuff like that.
So the ozone, acid rain. Al Gore has been screaming that we're going to die for the last 20 years. That we only had 10 years, but it's been 20
We're
years
all
now.
gonna die one day. That's for
Right,
sure.
everyone's, we're all mortal, fuck. But, like I had this argument, because my youngest son, he's a brain, him and Junior hung out a couple times. I was like, when was the Industrial Revolution? About 100 and change. 100 and change ago. Humans been on the planet for 200 million years. So you're telling me that in 100 years we butt fuck this rock? Where if you look at Chernobyl right now, have you seen videos of Chernobyl?
Well, my
Like-
friend was actually building a sarcophagus, which they have
Right.
installed 2
Right.
years ago.
But as far as nature goes, the wolf population, the bear, animals, nature in itself, trees, is consuming that city.
Things change, and we adjust.
And that was the biggest allegedly biggest nuclear fallout. Now I get that, there's bad shit in that
Don't
coffin.
forget about Fukushima.
Yeah, Fukushima and all that. But imagine if they built a brand new nuclear power plant in 2022. Like Silas told me, the two metals that they can use now. Because if you remember down when all the nuclear power plant, at least in America, we were in a Cold War with Mother Russia. So all of our nuclear power plants that were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s were made out of the same nuclear material that could be put in a warhead.
That's uranium.
Uranium, which is the scary shit that will melt down and fucking kill people. I'm not that smart, but Silas has told me that there's these new metals now. When they're together, they create the heat and the steam and the power. But all you have to do is separate them, and it goes away. No meltdown. So if they built a brand new nuclear power plant in 2022, it'd be the most safest and energy efficient power plant ever. But people have been pounding in their fucking brains, even though we've only had, the Japanese had a meltdown, Russians had a meltdown. We've only had maybe 2 or 3 meltdowns.
Chernobyl is in Ukraine.
Chernobyl, okay, yeah. So we've only had 2 or 3 major meltdowns on the face of the planet.
And it was a human factor.
Right.
Really.
Well, humans make
Well,
mistakes.
Fukushima was an earthquake.
Right.
But
Well,
again-
they built the thing on a fucking island, and they had a tsunami and all that
Yeah.
shit.
But-
Which I don't know if they could have predicted that.
We just don't realize lots of things, and the technology, we could have been a lot more advanced because people just keep the old technology running until they keep making money.
Yeah.
Once they stop, they'll introduce something new. They already have it in their back pocket, I'm sure. That's fine. That's business. People make it, take advantage of.
You ever
the
heard of the real?
situation.
Have you ever heard of the real Tesla?
What's real Tesla?
The guy there at Tesla,
Nikola
Nikola Tesla,
Yeah, sure.
like the stuff that he was working on.
He was from Yugoslavia, by the way.
Right. And then he
He was
suddenly
taking
died and all.
electricity from the air.
Right. He suddenly died, and then the government came and took all of his papers.
A guy
Weird.
in the south of Russia actually invented solar panels, which are transparent. So you can make a glass out of it, like for your windows, and you'll be producing electricity from your window. Where is that technology? It was invented like 6 years ago.
Sure.
They're not going
Look
to
at the
put-
guys. I mean,
They're not going to put it up until they make enough money from the current.
I mean, you were probably, obviously you were still in Mother Russia during the gas crisis over here. I've seen numerous videos of guys that made, carbureted vehicles get 100 miles to the gallon, and all of a sudden they die mysteriously.
Well, my
or-
father
or
is a
they-
mechanical engineer. We had we had the Soviet car, which was a copy of Italian Fiat. He would play with that carburetor, and we would fuel it like once a month. So
Get every ounce of that shit. How much was gas in Russia or in the USSR back in the
I
day?
don't remember, but we had a lack of it. I remember the day. It's a funny kind of story. We got a car, and the only reason we got a car because my grandfather was a war veteran and all that. He's got a token to buy a car. You couldn't just go and buy it.
Right. You had to have permission.
Soviet Union was unique. The second-hand cars costed more than new ones because you can get a second-hand car on the market.
You didn't have to ask the
But the
government.
new one to get, there was a pain.
Right.
So my grandfather got a token so he could buy a car. He didn't drive, so he gave it to us. So they went and got a car.
Sweet.
But getting gas was a pain in the ass. So I remember that one night. It was my childhood. I was a kid, Soviet time. A lady, my father's friend, who worked at the gas station, calls him at like 10 p.m. and says, "We got gas. Come over."
Come here now.
We don't have any gas in the tank, 0. So we go to a neighbor, borrow. Literally, we came with 3 liter, which is almost a gallon, glass jar to boil
Glass.
gas. So he poured gas in that jar. We carried it back,
Put
poured
it in the
poured
car.
it in our car.
So you could drive it to the
So
gas
we
station.
drove to the gas station. My father had like 3 20-liter, which is like 5
See,
gallon canisters.
It
And we filled
struggles,
it up.
just so you know,
So
it's struggles like that that make you a better American than some Americans that were born here. Because most people in this country don't know what that kind of struggle is like at all.
that's coming back to those kids being hungry, you know?
Right.
People don't appreciate what
No.
they have.
And that's the problem. And I think that's the other part of the major, there's so many problems globally, but in this country specifically, there we go, too much vodka.
Too much
That-
juice.
Right. That, again, it goes back to people are spoiled. They never had it hard.
But the village over there,
Right.
the guy named Baldwin founded
Yes. Yep.
it 200 years ago. You know the story about that?
No, I don't.
A
But
guy,
I'm American. and
Dr. Baldwin, doctor, he was a medical doctor, with his wife and 2 daughters, was in the boat on the way to Ontario Lake. Those days. Can
Right.
you imagine this?
Oh,
this
yeah.
wild place.
Oh, yeah.
And
Erie
he-
Canal type
so-
days?
No, before that.
Oh, before that.
Before
Phew,
Erie Canal.
We're talking way
So
back.
he was going down that river, and he kind of liked the place. He went to Ontario, didn't like it there, came back, and landed on the bank of the river, where that village is now located.
No shit.
He I like the place.
This
So
is beautiful.
He just landed there, built a house, and
Baldwinsville.
started a village.
Baldwinsville.
Can you imagine? You are 200 years ago, a medical doctor with a rifle, your wife and 2 daughters, in the middle of the freaking wilderness, full of Indians, full of animals,
Right.
full of everything. Can you imagine the size of the balls that man had?
Yeah. It's insane.
Those people have created this country.
Right.
They created the glory we've enjoyed.
And people have forgotten that shit. Or just don't even know it. Or
that guy had balls. That guy
came
had
in the
brains.
dump truck. Hell yeah. I mean, we got the forefathers cemeteries right just outside of Meridian.
Yep.
1870 something.
Yeah.
And what was here? I mean, I've seen my parents have an old scrapbook where the 4 corners of Cato was dirt roads. And where we get our pizza, that building was there.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
again, when I came here, obviously, I lived in Europe, I lived in Russia. The youngest building there is like 300 years old.
Right. I mean, we're only
Like Russia was baptized 1,000 years ago.
yeah.
For example.
We're this country. As Ronald Reagan said back in the day, this experiment isn't that old,
No,
and it could fail pretty easily.
but again, we're coming back to the point of a foundation.
Right.
If you have a good foundation, the house will stand. It's a very simple analogy.
The problem is like you got to make sure people are willing to build on it and remodel on it
And the
and
only
make it still stand.
The only way to make it work, we can talk about it all day long.
I don't understand what this is going on. So get out of there.
But there is all means and methods available. And we have to respect the history. We have to respect the flag. And we just have to go ahead. Okay, we've been through some difficult times.
Raptor Ranch is new here. Welcome aboard, Raptor. You've missed what I'd say is a pretty cool conversation. Alec is Alec, but it's fake account anyway. Why YouTube calling me? And oh, that's the Russian feller that has he says he's Alec. Okay.
Alec.
Thomas Jefferson gave
Привет,
this
Alec.
country 500 years before it failed. Well, yeah. It's I don't know.
But one thing,
You're way more here you are an immigrant and you're more optimistic about this country than I am.
and one of the reasons is-
I tend to be a negative Nancy too.
well,
So
I made the choice, and it's a lifetime choice.
that's a huge I can't I sat back one time. This is long before we talked about doing this, or whatever. After I'd met you and worked on the house or whatever, I was like, that's like you. That's a huge deal. Like I couldn't imagine packing up my entire family. Like I can't even leave this state, and I want to because I freaking hate the politics that are here, and the restrictions they're putting on people. But I got roots and family, and my parents, and I grew up here, and I actually like the state. I just hate the way it's being run.
Don't
And everyone's like, "Oh, just move, I'll move to Tennessee. It's a red state, and blah blah blah." I'd love to. The weather'd be great. I'd probably sweat my fucking ass off.
all we need to do is
But
to
to move
separate
from-
New York State from New York City. That will be
Yeah,
golden.
we could do that. Just cut that off. Would be good.
That's
But
what-
to move halfway across the globe and leave your entire family over there is just mind-boggling. And
It was an effort. It wasn't an easy choice. But, and again, since I made this choice, I made an investment of my life.
right,
And I got to fight for it, That's the first rule. If you invested it, protect
Yeah.
your investment.
yeah,
So,
hell yeah.
and
Fuck you. You're not
it
getting what I
wasn't
got.
for money. It wasn't for comfort. And again, I'm a city guy. I told you that. It's the first chainsaw I've ever seen near. I never had anything. I never had a chainsaw. I never had a lawnmower. I never had
Got a
my
pretty
land.
sweet fucking tractor.
Now I'm riding a 1943 Farmall bush hog.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And it only took me a little while, but I enjoy it so much. And one of the reasons I enjoy it is because I'm surrounded here. I'm blessed with people here. Literally, I am.
So that wasn't.
You're one of those, by the way.
Oh, I
If you
appreciate
didn't
that.
know that.
Oh, appreciate you.
But I wouldn't enjoy
So that's
it
not a
so much.
thing in Russia, though.
One of the
Like,
things,
do people? Is there Russian flags hanging off of people's houses in Russia, like it is over here in America?
Russians are
Are they patriotic? There?
Russians are rather discreet, I would say. If you go around the world, there's plenty of Russians everywhere you go. Brazil,
Carl.
I have Russian friend in Brazil, right there. In Argentina, I have Russian friend. I have Russian friend in New Zealand, in
You got
Australia,
in there, buddy. You
in
got in Canada, and truck
Yeah.
driver. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Russians, for some funny reason, they really don't create those loud communities. You will see all kinds of flags from ex-Soviet
Oh, yeah.
republics. You'll never see a Russian one. For some reason, I don't know.
That's weird.
Russians are not loud.
Was that like a weird thing for you when you came here to see all the flags?
And,
And,
but again, I'm
like, hey, I'm an American.
I'm proud to be what I am, but being Russian or being American or being French doesn't make you a good person by default.
No.
It just doesn't. It's not,
Joining the military doesn't make you a good person by default. Being a cop or a fireman,
it doesn't-
all that
so-
shit.
But the big thing, the big thing people don't understand is good people are not necessarily doing good things, and bad people are not necessarily doing bad things.
No.
Because there are stereotypes. We just make tags and hang them on people.
Yep.
But-
Mike. I just seen a quote from Mike Tyson of all people. The older he gets, the wiser he gets, which is weird. Maybe someone knocks something loose in his brain. He's like, everyone you fight is not your enemy, and everyone that you call your friend is not your friend.
Not necessarily. And I went
Which
through
is
that a lot.
yeah,
Because I've seen lots of people in lots of countries, and
which is cool because I've only seen it through the military
And
eye and all that
one
crap.
important thing to understand is that you can never understand another person fully until you start speaking his language. Because language determines a lot of mentality.
Yeah.
People don't know that.
Slang. I mean, you've been here for a while. The slang and all that. I mean,
Well,
I know your wife's been trying to fix. You guys are watching all the great movies, trying to get her tuned up on English.
when we came here, my son, for example, he didn't speak. Well, he did a little bit of English, just a
Right.
little bit. It was June. In September, he went to school. And he's been in that school for 3 years now.
Right.
And he's been a straight honor roll ever since. And it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of language issues. But he was working. One of the reasons is because he's like that. Another reason,
That's good.
Another reason, he said one day, he says, I don't want people think that Russians are stupid or something.
I mean, after meeting you, and getting to know you and what, I mean, it's like, because like I said, I trained Russian doctrine in the army,
Mhm.
I was supposed to fight against the Russians. And my total outlook on, as far as people go, because what the dems and theys that control the armies do and
Army
say and think
now
is
became a
totally,
political tool.
yes.
But
Oh, look what's
well,
going on right
I'll
now.
tell you one thing: both of my grandfathers have been fighting in a war, and when I say war, I mean the war, 1941, 1945.
Right. The war.
So
The last one that was fought, I think, for just cause.
correct. That's what I
Because
concur.
as of late,
I concur with that fully.
I don't think there's been a just cause
So
war since.
both of my grandfathers have been fighting there. One of them has been in a tank, and he ended up his career in Berlin in 1945.
Damn.
And he was a 19-year-old guy from a village in Siberia who was, before the war, he went to the army for regular service, which in Russia you still have to do. And he was trained as a radio guy.
And ended up as
And
a
then they
tanker.
put him in a tank.
And ended up as a tanker.
So he was behind the machine gun and the radio for the rest of it. And again, a simple guy from a Siberian village.
That's usually how.
Seen nothing.
That's usually how military works.
And he was a 10th-generation Siberian. I'm the first generation who wasn't born in Siberia.
Wow.
My mother was.
10 generations. So your
Well,
family goes back. I mean,
Oh yeah, I know my family back 300 years.
holy shit. I wish I could get that.
And my predecessors came to conquer Siberia hundreds of years ago.
Wow. That's wild, man.
They've sent Cossacks over there, and they gave him a map, and they told him, "You go till here. We don't have a map any further, but you'll figure it out."
You'll figure it out when you get there. Yeah, that's how it was back
So
in the day,
he-
man.
so he-
Fend
that-
for yourself.
That
Sorry.
kid was brought all across Russia, put in the tank, and he drove it to Berlin. Oh, he was behind the machine gun.
That's
And
pretty
he was
wicked.
the nicest person you can meet. The friendliest, sweetest guy. I wish he was still alive. I wish all my grandparents been still alive. But I mean, nicest guy. you
The
can
knowledge that they had and experiences from back in the
meet.
day.
But
If more young people today
he didn't
heard
have
those
He
stories.
didn't have any PTSD or whatever you call
Right,
it.
right.
Because he was fighting for the right cause.
Right. His
Yeah.
mind was in the right spot.
And you know what? No, the reason I mentioned that, although I'm proud of him, the reason I mentioned that, he never said a single bad thing about Germans.
The Coyote old man says, just in his ancestry, I've gotten back to the 1600s, almost to the 1500s. But what the hell? America is America. Amen to that.
That's correct.
Hell yeah.
And that's where we are, and that's what we have to fight for.
Right. Well, Silas.
Yeah.
Silas's name came from my great grandfather
Mhm.
that marched from Minetto
Mhm.
all the way down to Florida
Mhm.
during the Civil War.
It was actually, it's a funny story too. I've been building a power station in Moscow, and I worked for a Swiss company at the time. So my project director was German. And once we had a conversation,
Uns Bier bitte, Arschloch.
ich spreche Deutsch. aber
That's the only
nicht so
German.
gut
That's
as-
the only German I know.
No, I speak several languages, but I like German a lot. But
I kind of like it too.
So-
It's real.
so it was kind of funny because we had a conversation one day, and we've been talking like the gas turbine was supposed to come, or some generator or something was supposed to come from Hamburg to Moscow, and we're like, oh, how many kilometers is that? How far is that? And he says, I don't know, but I can call my uncle. He walked all the way from Hamburg to Moscow and back.
I can call my. He walked all the way. It's crazy. I have my great grandfather's discharge papers from the Civil War in my house, which is pretty cool.
And again, my wife's relatives. One of the reasons my wife exists is because her relatives on one side survived the war, and one of the reasons they did is because the house they had was occupied by German officers who've been noble people, very good, helped them out, and when they left, they actually said, we realize that your house is a good house, and it's going to be attractive for the troops which follow us to occupy, and it's going to be probably soldiers, not the officers.
Mm-hmm.
So before they left, they actually took a jar of paint and painted the name of some disease on the wall so nobody would stay in the house.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
People we think are bad are not necessarily doing bad things.
Right.
And people we think are good are not
not
necessarily
doing
good
yeah,
things.
exactly. Just like Mike says.
So one of the reasons my wife exists is because that German officer was he was a bad man. He conquered our country, or tried to,
Right.
but he did a good thing.
He still had some humanity
And
to
they
him.
never insulted them. They never did anything bad to them.
Wow.
And they left and they saved that family.
Damn. That's crazy.
And so people forget history,
yeah.
and
That's the problem.
that kills the future.
Well, look at what they're doing with American history. They're trying to get rid of it. You know, tear down all the statues. And we went down to Gettysburg last year.
You prohibit Mark Twain's books.
Yeah, we went down to Gettysburg last year for our anniversary, and there was people in the middle of Gettysburg protesting Confederate statues. Yeah, they weren't good people. They owned slaves. Guess what? Almost every country on the face of the planet at one point in time owned slaves. We're not the only people that did that.
Another social study right now. When do you think the official slavery on this planet ended?
It hasn't.
On a state level, like government.
Oh, in this country, on the
no,
planet?
on the planet, government approved slavery.
It's not.
No. But formally, it doesn't exist anymore.
Formally, but it still does.
There was a government on this planet which formally approved slavery at 1946.
Yeah, it's still going on today.
Which government that was, do you think?
Let me see. I don't know.
Japan.
Really?
Japan had officially, not like human trafficking type of thing we're talking
Right.
about. It was official freaking slavery
In 1940.
over Koreans.
In 46?
When the war ended, there was still war going on in the Far East of Russia. The Sakhalin Island, I lived at 3 years, was occupied by Japanese. And they had officially Korean slaves in there.
Holy shit. I never fucking knew that.
Until in 1945, the war ended in Germany.
Right.
Russian troops came to the Far East
Right.
and kicked the hell out of them.
Yep.
My grandfather was there. My father was born there. In 1952, my grandfather was still in service there.
Damn.
And they had officially government-approved Korean slaves.
Holy fuck, man. That's
And
friggin'
I was
heavy.
building a pipeline there in 2005. No, yeah, 2004, 2005. And we had Japanese shareholders. So we went through the island it was a survey visit or something. So we stopped in a village. And we had, in a group, we had my driver, myself, 2 Japanese guys, and the Russian engineer with us. So we walked through the village. And there was this old Korean man there in the village. Because Sakhalin, the Far East of Russia is full of Koreans who've been brought by Japanese at the time and they stayed.
Right.
That guy, I've seen 2 Japanese guys who he hasn't seen them since he was a child. He's seen them and he dropped on his knees
Holy Christ.
because that's what they made him do when he was a kid.
Man,
He
yeah.
remembers that in 1945 when he was in the island. He lived there and he was a slave of Japanese. We don't know any of that.
Right. Oh, that's not publicized. Fuck no.
So
We got there's a lot of inner conversations going on in the comments. I'll have to go through this later. We got 144 thumbs up. We got 61 people still watching.
oh,
We are past 9 o'clock,
really? Are
which
we?
is usually the wrap-up time.
And we still have a half a bottle of that vodka over there.
Well, about a half a bottle.
Is it my
Oh.
glass or your glass?
We got about 2 shots left.
Okay. So guys, hang on.
We're gonna do our 2 shots.
We're almost done.
And I think we might be wrapping things up. I'm old school too.
We haven't met for a while, so we haven't talked for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. So we're catching up on other shit too. Pisses me off to I've learned how to talk to. What the messed up? Yeah, there's a lot of inner conversations that I have no idea because I haven't been able to keep up with the comments because we've been chatting. We've been talking about stuff and things. Been expanding my brain too, which is cool.
Yeah, man, it's a game changer when you start talking to people outside your comfort circle, and just learn things.
I'm not going to lie, you guys are freaking me out. Where did that go? Jesus, they go by so fast. Freaking me out, accusing me of being a robot. Yeah, inner conversation.
So we're freaking somebody out.
This guy, people think this guy's a bot or
But
something.
it's good. It means somebody's paying attention.
Appreciate it, Lee. Guy says we had a great live stream. I mean, we still got 60 people, and we've been chatting for over 2 hours, so that's pretty cool.
But
Your guest is fantastic. They love you.
well, as long as my wife does,
Right.
that's all
Well,
I
you
care
guys can
about.
watch later, and you can. How's she doing on her English now? Anyway,
Actually, she's improved greatly. We have a lady here.
that's good.
They got
She should
friends.
come over to the house more. Get her hair done.
She would be happy to, and they meet every week, and she goes around, and because it's very difficult because again we came here as adults.
Right.
We
See, Junior has a little bit of a step up.
He still appreciates his origin, and he appreciates an opportunity to make his choices. And we never limited him ever since he was a baby. We never limited him to make
All I know is he
choices.
plays a fucking mean guitar. That's all I know.
7-string electric, 5-string bass,
Mm-hmm. He's pretty dope.
and he's self-taught completely. But you know one good thing about America to add to the list of good things? When he came here, after the first year, he says, because we've had and it's a problematic discussion with the young kids. What do you want to be?
Right. I've had the same discussion with my two boys.
After a year here, he was able to say, he was able to determine what he wants to be,
What's he gonna be?
a chemist.
Cool.
But what I mean is that this school, this country, the opportunities, the people,
He wouldn't have that in Russia.
he would have other things. But we've been struggling to squeeze this answer out of him all the time before. I don't know if it was age or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of
But-
happens too.
But
And I mean, like my oldest son thought he wanted to be a chemist too. He was here, worked on the house.
Mhm.
When he was going to college, he still owes the college like 24 grand. Guess what he's doing now? He's working at a factory, making $24 an hour. He's got almost 30K saved up. He's gonna buy a house. He's 22. When I was 22, if I had $300 in my pocket, I thought I was rich. And he's a tightwad and holding on to it.
Well,
So kids change.
one
Things
thing,
change.
One thing I want to tell you, and I'm not sure if you know about it. You probably do because we talked about it, but just for the audience. One thing to mention about America, what's different here to most of the other countries, and Russia specifically, but I can't say for the whole world, of course, but here, if you have a job, any freaking job, you can make a living.
Right.
You can have some sort of accommodation, some sort of car, you can make it.
Right. You don't have
So
to ask
you
the
have
government
little
for a
step
car.
You have a solid ground to stand on, so you can. My mother-in-law back in Russia, if we haven't supported her, she won't survive. She's a teacher.
She's a teacher, and you still,
Uh-huh.
and you guys have to help her out.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
She lives
Christ.
in my wife's apartment. We pay for that.
Damn. And you can't get her over here.
No.
Dang.
And like she probably would have entertained an idea of coming here. My parents don't want to. They want to come visit,
Right.
but it's their life there. They don't speak
Right.
the language.
Right.
They understand if they come here, they're going to be here in the wilderness without any exposure to anybody.
Right.
My sister works for an American company in Russia.
So So
she can be transferred here any day she wants. If she tells, they'll transfer here. She's high up.
Right.
She's been there over 10 years. She made a hell of a career, makes good money. They respect her. They've accommodated for her all kind of special conditions she had.
Nice.
Been a single mother and all that. If she wanted to come here,
She could come.
they would transfer her right there. It's
But
a great
she-
company. It's a huge corporation, global. and all that.
But she's
She's
comfy.
there- well, in Russia, daughters take care of parents.
Cultural thing.
She's gonna be there until parents are there.
Gotcha.
That's like my mother took care of her parents. They lived with us.
Yeah.
She's
That's a
gonna-
weird thing. I don't know if you've noticed in America. We unfortunately, a lot of Americans just they call it sending them out to pasture.
No, I mean,
And
you have
yeah,
to-
I know the Japanese are big on that, and I think China's big on that too. Is they really respect the elders, and here we just send them to a fucking home to just
until
die
ni-
slow and
until the end of 19th century and the beginning of 20th century, Japanese would take their parents and take them when they get old and they cannot work anymore. They take them to the mountains and leave them there to die.
holy fuck. I know that.
This-
See, Mom? What the
Yep.
fuck? That's fucking crazy.
So my sister's there taking care of parents, and parents don't want to move permanently because they will lose everything all their
Right.
life. They've been active
Yeah.
all their life. They travel and they,
Yeah.
they're retired now.
It's kind of like how I am with New York.
But
I'd love to fucking get out of here,
But
but
what I
just
hate,
can't.
they cannot come visit.
Yeah, that part sucks. So then you guys, I mean, what's it cost nowadays to go over to Russia and visit? Like for a week?
Just to travel, I mean, tickets and stuff would be like $2,000 or something
Jesus Christ. That's just for the two of you?
for one.
For one? Holy shit. How long does that take? Like, how long is a trip?
Probably 24 hours because you'll have to go through.
Transfer.
Istanbul and all
Oh,
that.
Jesus. What a fucking
Yeah,
nightmare.
there is no straight flight anymore.
You're a badass, man. I'm telling you. You're fucking cool.
There used to be a straight flight and everything, 8 hours in Moscow. That's how we came here. But not anymore.
Right.
They are
'Cause-
shutting down the world.
oh, yeah. Because,
big time.
everything's fucked.
Well, and again, it's like this global warming business. It's all temporarily happening. We gotta just live through it and change it to the better.
Yes.
And you see, America is building back up. That's a good thing about what's going on. We may not know it.
My massage therapist told me one time, everything's on a pendulum.
It is.
And swing one way, people get tired of it. And swing the other way, people get tired of it. Goes back and forth. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
All right, folks. I think we're gonna shut her down. It is damn near 9:30.
Shall
So-
we make a vote on that?
We got
It's a democratic society.
54 people still watching, but we got 149
Well,
thumbs up. So
Ask
that's
them if they want to go, or they want us to stay.
right.
And if they want us to stay, what they want to talk about.
I think they're all just like there's like a conversation going on.
Everybody fall
in the-
asleep or something?
Yeah, they're all just talking. They're just all talking amongst themselves in the comments. But I think we're gonna shut her down. I'm gonna try to navigate through the navigational beacons on the way home in the old truck while I still can. How do we even shut this down? Oh, the X. So yeah, appreciate everybody coming out. And like I said, I apologize before not being able to conversate with a lot of the comments and stuff. But this was more of a Q&A and trying to figure stuff and things out. So we'll talk to all y'all pretty soon. Appreciate y'all coming out and the thumbs up. And we'll see you later.